What up? I was in the ocean
You're not
somewhere,
Shia. You're not
somewhere.
Shia.
Ah,
No,
fuck!
no.
I
You're
already
not
fucked it
Shia,
up.
man. You're not
We knew that. We knew that.
Shia.
Welcome to Fantasia episode. I literally have no clue. 23, I think that sounds right. We've
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
Destiny's Jesus. I found him outside in the backyard gym that I have, and he said episode 23 is about to happen. There you go. I got
Yeah.
you. I got you. What's up, bro?
Doing well, doing well.
You always get nervous when you get on shows, bro. I'm just straight coming
But
at you right away.
am I
You
shaking?
always clam up, bro. You're just
Well,
like,
I don't know. I don't know what to say because it's just like I was used to talking to you guys. I
yeah,
guess.
nice.
So,
All right, bet. Well, Shio,
well,
I don't have a story for where Shio is. I think maybe he's like in London. I think you saw him in London when you were filming some sort of like action film for Guild or something. 11. He's like at the Big Ben, right?
Yeah, well, they said they needed like someone to play like a big boss, like villain type character, and he was the guy for the job. So I think he's on a plane back to Canada, but just couldn't make it in time, technicalities and whatnot. But yeah, look, I'm here. I made it in time.
Bet. Yeah, we missed you last week. But in any case, Fortnite, huh? Fortnite? Yeah, let's talk Fortnite. What has happened this week that is like crucial? Because I think there's like a lot of stuff, but it's just like all scuffed at the same time. I think there was what? The Moo Ballers. Let's talk about that to start, right? The Moo Ballers got added. These are things that I don't even know, inflated cows, inflated bulls, or something like that. And everybody was freaking out right away, like because instantly everybody saw the potential. They're a baller again. Everybody's like, ah,
yeah.
and then they just get removed from comp. But let's talk about before comp. DJ, like, did you experience them? Did you feel like they were something that would be
Am I
nice
allowed
in
to
comp?
swear
What
or
happened?
not? Am I allowed to swear or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think that is probably the most bollocks item, especially because we had like a week. No, hold on. We had like a 2 week preseason, which was the most boring thing of all time, right? With nothing happening, where they said they were going to add things and try them out for comp, and then randomly, like 40 seconds before a cash cup, they add them in, and they're like, "Oh, this will be fun, guys!" And it's completely bugged because they didn't play test it at all. Of course, it made you go invisible. You could travel literally the entire way across the map with a launch pad and then they immediately removed it because you could go invisible and you could teleport and stuff. So um, that's my thought. They shouldn't have been in the game. I don't know why they added it 10 seconds before a cash cup, and it's completely
Yeah,
stupid. And it's just another bad decision on top
it
of thousands.
it makes you think what's going like we've been on Fantasia pretty I think a pretty positive vibe in terms of like the additions to comp and like
It's not good.
their future like keeping stuff out but this one was not so good.
No.
Yeah, it was. It's weird, like you say. Certain things just never seem to make sense, and I don't think they ever will. I think that's just something like we've become accustomed to, right? I love how you said like, "Can I swear?" and you say "bollocks" like the nicest swear word the British guy could say. Like, "Can
Well, I
I
was going to say
swear?"
something
Like,
worse,
I
but
want, I want to let them have it. Like, yeah, this is absolutely bollocks. Like, come on, man, what's going on? Look,
okay.
I don't get why we don't have like it seems like they know they don't want to have it in comp, right? Because they did like eventually just take it out relatively quickly in the grand scheme of things. It's not like they let this stay in the game for like a couple of weeks or days or anything. But it's like, is that not like it seems like it's hard for them to just put something in the game just for the game and like it because it always starts off right with it going into both, then they just take it out of comp. Like it's never like we just put it straight into the game and it just doesn't go comp. It doesn't touch comp at all. It's always like goes into the game, goes into comp. We have to take it out of comp. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it always feels like. But I think if we could get to a stage where we can just avoid that step of like having to take it out of comp because we never put it in the first place, then it's whatever. And then half the people would have never known. But at the same time, they had the recycler, right? I feel like you guys wouldn't even know what the recycler is just because
Yeah,
like
yeah, I don't know.
nobody in comp, yeah, like nobody in comp really knows what it is just because like you would have never encountered it. Where they added their recycler, they didn't go to comp at all. Like they just knew, yeah, we're not adding this to comp. So weird, very weird to me, how that works.
There's been a bunch of items like that in the past, right? Like the flare gun,
Yeah.
for example, like a
Yeah, true,
bunch of
true,
stuff.
true.
Cars didn't get added to comp until the next season.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
like we had it at the end of what was it, season 3, when all the water receded finally, and cars didn't get added until season 4.
So,
Yeah.
so do
And
you
all the
think they're
cars were
taking it out?
bugged, right?
So do you think they're taking out is because of the bugs or because of the reaction to it being added? Like, do you think the reaction to it being added plays any part, or do you think it was just like, okay, this is bugged, so we're just gonna take it out?
I think they disabled it totally, right? In pubs and stuff as well, just because it was bugged and it made it invisible. But I sometimes think they kind of there's like a cycle where they're like, what's the most stupid thing we can add to the game, and do we need more publicity for the game? And then if they need more publicity, then they'll add it in comp for like a bit, just so more people end up tweeting about it, you know? And then that brings more hype to overall. Because the majority of content is comp people, you know, doing it. So if they add it to comp, like the recycle, I don't know how many people actually came to play pubs because of the recycler, you know, just from seeing the trailer. Versus like everybody's screaming at the move ball, they're saying, "Oh, it's so broken, it makes you invisible," you know, and then everybody hops on. But obviously they had to remove it because it was bugged. But I feel like if it wasn't bugged, they would probably kept it in for the cash cups.
Well, the funny thing is that they re-enabled it in pubs yesterday, and it was still bugged. Like it had some other sort of bug. So yeah, it was weird though, because there has been problems with the cash cups in general, and like where they're trying to delay, and so they delayed it. My cam just went way out of focus, but they delayed it, and then they had to wait even longer to disable the inflatable, and then anyways.
Do you know why they actually delayed it?
Do I know what?
Do you know why they actually delayed the cash cups?
It's because they had like queue issues, no?
No, it was a cover up. There was the guy who runs Comp Epic, right? He was actually driving home one day, and he was late for the EU Cash Cup, and he couldn't make it. So he's obviously gonna have to queue late, and he didn't want to have to face that. So they moved it back a day. And the same one.
Terrible.
No. You think I'm lying?
Look, I know you're lying because you acted like somebody Epic plays the game.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I have a serious question though. Like beyond the bugs and whatnot, is this this actually a baller, or is it much different?
You die to full damage, basically.
Oh, you take fall damage? Is it like
like if somebody shoots at you
or...
while you're bouncing really high, then you just die. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it could be kind of good for movement, I guess. Like mid game and
that was the same thing for ballers,
50.
but you never actually got broken in ballers, and you had a grapple.
By the end, you did because they had nerfed it so much.
It's one bullet break though.
This was just one bullet break. Okay, I didn't.
Actually know that. Like it's inflatable, right? So
that's look. These aren't the strong ballers, but I think they. Because I think the big
is there a place for them in the game, right? That's what I'm asking.
That's the thing. Because if we're going to compare it to ballers, the problem with ballers was just that you could have like 10 ballers in an end game, just like circling around while everything was happening. This you can't. And so it could be broken in terms of like rotating mid game and early game or whatever, but like it's not as effective, and it's not going to have the same sort of impact, even if they do add it back, in my eyes at least.
Right. So it should be fine, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like, it's just what's the point at that point?
You're friends with a lot of EU pros, and they're fucking like, I'm so bored. Like, we need new items and shit in the game. Like, what is this game? Is so boring. All I can do is play Arena, and there's nothing new in Arena. Like, you know what I'm saying? So something has to give, right?
It's kind of good for Arena to like find people. Everyone's just bouncing around in the ball, looking for each other. Well, I've done that.
I want to live in that world. I'll be honest. I want to live in that world. But in terms of comp, it's too soft. It's not good enough. So people don't really think that there's maybe in solos for rotation, because this is a solo item anyways. Like it's not like you can bring a trio. I did see like the launch pad rotate. I couldn't find it when I was looking for it.
Yeah, but like somebody just taps you once while you're in the air and you're dead. So
do you get credit?
It's a bit useless at that point.
Do you get credit for the kill, or is it like
I think so? Yeah.
Busted like planes were back in the day?
It would say like you got the kill.
Oh, sorry, quad crashers. That was the thing. Remember when you used to shoot quad crashers out the air? They would blow up and then you'd fall and you would get the credit.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the OC at World Cup moment. Everybody expected them to do like somewhat decent, right? And then they just died to a quad crasher flying in the air for no reason. That's the most disappointing thing. Let down the entire continent right there.
Yeah. I did also want to bring up, while we're on the topic of, adding things to comp and their impact, I'm low-key scared about this Holly Hedges zone. Like, and how it's like slightly expanding or something like that. Obviously there's Hypex is a good thing to bring up too, but like the leakers have been saying like the gravity zone is going to be moving, and like I fear like we're gonna be in a situation like Season X all again. Is the end games there playable? Is it like a really bad situation, or is it okay?
I saw an end game there in somebody's video, and it's just a bit weird. Like, it's just like you can still pad and stuff, but like just when you're in the actual area around the building,
Mhm.
you have like some speed effects. And
Yeah, because you'll
slow
pad
graph.
out of the verticality, and then you're fine, right?
Yeah, like it's not the biggest thing. It's only when you're in the actual area that you move a little bit differently. But
Mhm.
Yeah, and even then, like when I've watched some people like try get through it, it's like they'll just spam spacebar through it and like they're fine. Like it's weird. It's not the kind of thing. Like that's the thing as well, by the way. It's like what happens when it's an FNCS final and we're like in that zone and it's just all weird and stuff. Like I don't want to see that. But right now it's harmless. Who's to say it doesn't become a problem? But I feel like right now it's not really a big deal.
My fear, I guess, is that we're gonna get rift zones again. Like we will. That's my fear. So seeing this at all, yeah, it might be harmless, but what's the next iteration? And I think that's the
I
balance
gotcha.
that we're looking for. Is like we're trying to find stuff that is relatively harmless, but eventually, when you iterate on harmless things, eventually they're going to become. That's why they're
Yeah,
such a
that's when you
difficult
have
to
crouch
balance.
into a toilet in end games and stuff.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
that's
That's
the
when it
next
becomes
type of
bad.
idea. That's the next type of idea.
Bring back taco time.
It. All right, stop with that hashtag ad bullshit over here, Mr. Levin 2K King.
It's the Taco 2K.
Mr. Levin James.
Someone said, Reese said to me, bro, if they add like taco time back in game, like I'm gonna get pelters. Like everyone's gonna just be like 11, you absolute.
You will, yeah, you will, you will.
I'll embrace it. I'll embrace that shit.
There's a bot that you can do, and if you have enough gold, you can turn your whole trio into a toilet and like a box and stuff, and then rotate mid game.
Wait, with the NPC?
Yeah, the NPC. It's actually not too bad because like if you rotate it's like risky, you can easily get a kill. Just standing pretending to be like a barbecue or something.
There was something. So I think last season I was playing some tournament, some like Twitch rivals or something like that, and I got like the prop hunt ability, and I turned into something, and I'm like ziplining along as a toilet or something like that. I think probably the same NPC you're talking about.
Yeah,
and
probably.
yeah, that was pretty funny. There's like exotics still. I saw somebody was able to get the Storm Scout because like at the vendors or vending machines
The
you can
broken
get
ones.
a rent. Oh, okay, so it's like specific broken ones.
Yeah, it's 100 gold, and you get like you can get like a cabbage or something, but you can also get like exotics.
Yeah, I've mostly seen
So,
heals from it.
Yeah.
Like people just like get like a bunch of med kits or something like that.
Are they in specific locations, the broken ones?
it's just a random spawn like where the vendors
They
are.
random spawn.
I mean, there's
Okay.
some vendors that are more likely to be healers, and some that are more likely to be guns.
Yeah.
But then there occasionally it's like a 5% chance that they're.
Has anybody like gone through? I'm sure some people have gone through like the list of items that could potentially spawn and like found
I
out
feel
what
like
the
that's more
most
like a
broken one is.
like the comp community should do that, but I feel like that's the kind of thing like the pub people do more than like comp.
I know, but
or,
like the comp, like and that like, is there a potential to get like the dub,
RPG.
the dub RPG, anything
I don't
that's out of
think
the
so.
game? Like
I've only
okay.
seen Storm Scouts, so I think that's the one they like.
Yeah, that
I think
just
somebody
keeps.
Epic really must love Storm Scouts because they've always been like randomly in the game occasionally.
just trying to creep them in without letting
Yeah.
anyone know. Like, yeah, don't worry.
It's like some random loot path and weeping, and you can go smacking off beds and then get a Storm Scout just for one Epic employee who's like, "Oh, fantastic! I can know where zones are."
Yeah.
It's not like they can't spawn the zones exactly how they want, anyways. But
Yeah,
again,
true.
this is a fantasy that somebody at Epic plays the game. I'll keep. For some reason, you have this idea that that's the case. All right, let's move on to probably not really that much different of a topic. There's this idea here. Somebody wrote a news post on Fortnite Tracker that took the world by storm. New smart builds could make building in Fortnite much easier. And if you look into it, it says new building types are coming, and there is 4 building types within the leak or whatever it is: smart box, a smart tower, a smart bridge, and a smart auto or something like that. A lot of people are thinking that this is gonna be like automatically building for you. You just select a build type, which is like a smart box, and it instantly builds a box. People were like freaking out. Is this gonna This could be for new players so they can instantly build something and be safe, and they can like experience the building without having to go through, mechanics. Some people are like, it's probably for bots. What do you guys think about this?
The reason I think this is relevant is because, of course, like you said, I did see like the AI thing, people saying so, and I do think it's more likely to be implemented that way, and that makes sense because the current AI that we have in like pubs just aren't like they're well past their prime, right? They're just awful, and so it makes sense that you now like iterate them so now they can build and they can move around, and it's not as obvious who's AI and who's not in that level of a lobby. At the same time, though, I think it begs a question where, the battle between casual and comp community is an never-ending thing. Obviously, you mentioned Hypex a bit earlier. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we'll pull them up after this. We'll pull Hypex up after this.
That's a never-ending battle. And the big thing is building is what has advanced this game forward to where it is. And I think that is, my bad. That's like the skill gap that really makes the game less accessible for newer players and players who are maybe returning to the game after a long time. It's just they can't keep up when it comes to building. And so people always suggest either you scale building mechanics back, like you do something silly like remove turbo build, right? And like end phase sways career or whatever, or you implement things so that those people can somewhat keep up or do things in a building sense that allows them to keep up with people in the game. People have always suggested you either go one way or the other. Now, if this smart build thing is for players, it looks like they're leaning towards the other way, where it's like they're not going to scale back what we have with building, but they will just do things so that lesser players can somewhat catch up. You're never going to catch up, but at least like, smart build, you macros, it's legal macros essentially, right? So it's like, if it is for players, then that seems to be the direction they're leaning in towards, which is interesting because they've always in the past leaned towards scaling, building backwards, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. I do think, there actually was a macro, by the way. You could press a macro on your mouse and it was a software that would just automatically do mouse movements and keyboard movements and stuff, right, and inputs. It would make you do some like crazy sway retake. I'm not even joking. Like a double extended jump up onto a thrive hook. It would literally do all that stuff like automatically for you, which is kind of crazy. But what I do think would be really good, and I don't know why Epic hasn't done it yet, is right. Pre-edits are kind of like the skill gap in trios, right?
Yeah.
And trio fighting. What if you could have like an extra key, like a 5th build bind, right? So you got wall, floor, cone, stair, right? If you can have an extra one that you press and you're allowed to set it at the start of every match into a pre-edit, and then you can press that. So you can have a normal wall and you can have a pre-edit wall. You can have a normal stair and then a normal one, right? But you can only have one. Like you have to choose. You have to choose which one you want. That would actually be really good because that would it would maybe diminish the skill gap at the top level of trios of going for pre-edit stuff, but it would make it a lot
accessible.
I think it would increase the fighting skill a lot. Like if imagine you're running about, C-Day running around with like predator doors and stuff.
Yeah, I remember. That was actually good. That brings back memories. I was just gonna say that like it really is that would increase it even more. So do you know what I mean? Like that would be, to me, that's increases the skill gap even more. And like it makes it harder for now, because now on top of the build bands they already have to learn, these newer players now have to account for the fact that they can add a bind to build a whole new building piece. Like that would just make it even harder, which is why I just don't think we're seeing stuff like that happen.
Yeah, maybe not. But pre-edits really, like, they're not used outside of very specific trio plays at certain points in the game.
Yeah.
Or people that play the Save the World and building bases and like 40 years old,
It brings up like a kind of cool idea in which, what if the smart build was you built something and like copied it, So you build a 1x1 and then you copy it, and then that becomes your smart build for, until you change it. Wouldn't that be like
how laggy the servers would be?
Someone just starts spamming like some bullshit. Yeah.
You know what would be good actually? When like you're doing like a low ground drop or something, right? Like a Sentis show, they do a low ground drop. I was watching Floki the other day, they do it a bit, right? Imagine you do a low ground drop and you just spam all those smart boxes. You spam like a 2x2 of smart boxes. Everything's just instantly claimed. How good would that be?
Yes. Dude, that's
got a lot of potential for that.
That's what I'm actually like afraid of, is stuff like that. Because skill obviously gap, though, no?
I think it is, maybe.
It could be. It
I mean,
really
it's an
depends on the
extra mechanic
implementation.
that
Like
you've
we
gotta
don't
do.
know what the building types are. We don't know what the box is gonna look like. For all we know, this
No,
fucking
go down.
this
It
this
says.
smart. Yeah, but this isn't really. Can you imagine like a smart bridge? Okay.
Nobody's cleaning the bridge.
What are you thinking? Like this is a tunnel, right? That's what I would think of. But
Nah, that's not what I'm thinking of.
in reality, it's gonna be the fucking covered bridge shit from like the IGN guides back in the day. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's gonna be like. So obviously pro players and the competitive community and yourself, everybody is going to take this and use it and abuse it in certain ways that that'll, in my mind, make shit, will muddy the waters. You know, I'm not super afraid of it, but I can see positions where it might cause server lag. You know, that's something that
probably.
I'm seriously concerned about. It's like performance with this stuff. What if somebody just wants to fuck the game and they just port-a-fort with their smart builds? You know, and then the game just gets super laggy. Like stuff like that is my biggest concern. But
Do you remember the clip of when they threw a porter fortress, like the bigger one?
that's what I'm talking
during like
about.
an 8th zone, and the entire server just froze for
Yeah.
like.
And
30
people would do that
seconds while
shit
it built.
for like on purpose. Like they would do it on purpose because they're in a scuffed position and they want to find some like free stuff. So they just crash the server for a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden they're ahead of zone or they got to refresh.
I think smart boxes would be good. Like if you got a refresh and you're dropping on it, smart box, and then any pieces that are there that aren't already built, you know, it will just fill them in and make sure you're safe. Like a low ground drop, as I said, you know, if you're tarping, you could maybe smart box.
See,
You'd have to be pretty,
you're thinking
pretty
about the
senile to have to
actual
tarp
like
with smart
you're
box.
thinking about the actual consequences when I don't think that Epic is actually thinking about that, right? So like how does it actually change what would happen in a competitive game? And obviously, we don't know. It's probably not going to replace other people's builds, but like in situations like that, how is it going to be used in competitive? How is it going to affect that? Is it going to cause lag? Is it going to be really easy and actually make it harder for newer players to play, right? Make it harder for a newer player to fight a pro player, which we would love, but obviously Epic would not want that. But in most cases, I'm gonna bet that would be the results, you know?
Yeah.
You guys are screwed. What they're actually doing is they're like, you know, like NBA 2K where they'll like motion capture a player, they'll bring in the player and get him to do all his dunks and stuff so they can motion capture it in. They've actually flown out Mongra and Benji, right? And they're gonna just get them to like play and they're gonna track all their movements, right? And input that into like all this little kid has to do is press one button and he's like Mongra classic somebody at Mongra speed the way he'd actually do it. We're screwed.
I mean, it won't make them better though.
The
thing is, with a skill cap like that thing, like anything that increases the skill gap in terms of like a mechanic, right? I mean, the bad players are bad and they can't do it, but the good players can do it and they'll abuse it and they'll find loads of new strategies for it, and that's just the skill gap increasing. I think it'll be really good, especially the thing I said with pre-edits, like having a 5th build bind where you can randomly select something for a pre-edit. I think that would be so good for comp.
You live in La La Land, don't you, DJ? Like,
he's one of the players. He sits in the call with them all day. He thinks like the players now. Like he's lost. He's truly lost.
You're
Imagine being able to spam Dorito cones everywhere. You get in a box and you just spam 57 Dorito cones and you're fine, you know?
Bro, we haven't yet. We just got pre-edits fixed where we can disable them. Like we literally just got that after 3 years. We haven't gotten the edit and build sense. We haven't gotten fucking like so many different things with building, and you think that they're gonna add a smart pre-edit button for you? Hell nah.
It would be good.
Of course it'd be good.
Smart boxes, they can do smart pre-edits.
Of course
but
it'd be good.
Everyone was like, oh, finally we can disable pre-edits, and then you see the top trios, right? Like FNTASIA, Nate and Tayson, right? They're just abusing it. Like everybody else is taking it off, and they're using it. They've got a little 0 French ping ringing about, big hitting everyone's wall, right? Abusing it. So,
I see this, and I just wonder, you know, how is this going to affect poor little Timmy, who doesn't know how to build? He doesn't know how to make a ramp rush, like not even with a wall in front.
He's not playing comp, is he?
I'm not talking about comp for a second. I'm not talking about comp for a second. I'm just thinking, obviously, how this affects comp, but also just like the idea of this and how it will make it so that little Timmy can build, right? But in reality, you're not introducing him to the game. You're not introducing him to building. You're introducing him to smart boxing and smart towers, because he's not going to learn how to ramp rush by using an auto ramp rush thing. He's not going to learn any of the more complex stuff. So he's just going to be stuck at the exact same level no matter what. you know? And on top of that, more than half the population is using a controller where they don't even have enough buttons to place smart stuff in the first place. So that's why I think for sure it's going to be used for AI, and the entire discussion is hopefully irrelevant, you know?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I guess. But the question is, if you've been playing Fortnite for 4 years and you can't build a box, should you really be playing Fortnite? Is it the game for you? Probably not.
All right, perfect. Well, speaking of the casuals,
this is why the casuals hate you, man, because you're so ignorant. Yeah, that's what you're so ignorant.
Let's go to our friend Hypex over, and speaking of casual and people liking competitive and whatnot, where's it at? Where's it at? God, he tweets a lot. Holy crap! No wonder people love him.
He tweets like 500 miles per hour.
I'm literally going down. I'm looking. Oh, there's a tweet about England losing the fucking.
Don't mention, like, what's wrong with you, man?
He's bringing it up on purpose, isn't he? Like,
you don't know how to act, because I bet you that tweet's not even there, bruv. You just trying shit. Like, you're actually out of order for that, man. What's wrong with you, bruv? Man to man, look at me, like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with? It's on his Twitter, man. I'm just looking for the thing. I just saw it. I got reminded of, a nice victory. I just got reminded of a little dub.
Dub, yeah.
Are you Italian now, Bala?
He's so cringe. He's not even Italian, bro. Man lived in France for like 4 weeks and says, I'm Italian or whatever. Leave, man. Shut up. Leave.
I'll be honest, I did not even look at the. Where the fuck did he delete it? Oh, come on, man.
Go on Bucky's tweets.
Yeah, go on Bucky's.
It'll probably be on
replies.
His quote tweets. I'll try
Bucky tweets a million times a day too. Right.
I think Bucky might have like the most cringe tweets in the entire world. However, they're sometimes quite entertaining.
I think Macwood might.
How does he tweet so much?
I think Macwood might.
He deleted the tweet. Yeah, Hypex deleted the tweet.
Okay. Well, anyways, I found it on Bucky's Twitter. You guys saved me. Here it is. How do people ignore the top part? He tweeted, "How do people watch competitive anymore? It's so boring and empty, even by watching the best players, and I can't even watch their highlights anymore because that's so repetitive. World Cup era was the last time competitive streams were fun. You can't blame Epic about it. Which probably is the portion that a lot of people are more upset about. But this pissed off the comp community. Everybody was in there memeing, taking it seriously, like pissed off that somebody who probably isn't really that involved in the competitive community, even though he has been and like been tweeting about like all the different events and whatnot. It pissed people off. What were your thoughts like initially? Because I have thoughts on basically everybody's reactions and obviously the overall topic in general. But
I've actually got some really sad news around this topic, guys. I got blocked by Hypex and I can no longer see the daily item shops.
Oh,
it's sad, isn't it?
Bro. Unlucky.
Sad stuff.
Yeah. So any viewers who watch or don't follow Hypex, which I assume is quite a lot, do people actually follow him? I don't know how he's got 1 million followers. That's like the same as Mongrel, right? That's like crazy.
Massive.
You
bro,
are
like the
so out of. You are so out.
I know, but like 1 million followers just for tweeting daily shops is crazy. Anyway, I didn't know who he was because I've got him muted because he just tweets leaks and stuff, yeah. But he just copy pastes other people's leaks and like item shops, and
this is the roast of Hypex or something like.
No, it's just his job, isn't it? Just being honest.
Right, what did you think of the tweet though? Like, just what did you think of the tweet when you saw it?
I can kind of get where he's coming from because I know a lot of people who used to watch back then don't watch anymore. So I can kind of get where he's coming from with the game's stale to them, right? But his personal opinion, right, is his, and you shouldn't really mock it, even though I did, obviously.
Despicable.
That's a menace. Yeah, but like, if he thinks highlight videos are bad, like, it's not really our opinion to say, highlight videos are good, because most highlight videos are just like the same clips over and over, and editing and.
He's fucking right about that. Yeah? I'll be honest, he's right about that.
Yeah, highlight videos are. I don't know. I can't watch. You know what actually gives me a genuine headache is those ones with all the editing. You know the million ones.
Yeah, the ones that post on Twitter. That's just like fucking
I'm
editing.
Seeing them, my eyes start hurting. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm getting old, but I can't watch those. I can only watch like the simple ones.
Well,
I get his point, kind of, but it's
yeah.
his opinion. It's a stupid opinion. No one really cares about it, but it's his.
No, so the original tweet. I should have saved it, but the original tweet I have no problem with. I think my biggest problem was with stuff like this, like everybody piling on and then eventually trying to scapegoat the fucking comp community. Because like saying, hey, I don't enjoy watching comp. That's fine. Like that's fine. That's like you said, it's his opinion. Who cares? That's fine.
Yeah.
But everybody else, every other casual's coming in there like Sweat's ruining the game and stuff like that. It's like, what have we done to you, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what have we done to you?
Because they think that because of the comp community, the game is not as crazy, and they like the crazy stuff. That's the appeal to them for Fortnite. And they think that because of the comp community, they don't get all their crazy shit.
That's not even
that's
true.
What they think. It might not be true, but that's what they think.
They might. I think that legit, genuinely, there is something to be said about probably some of their top content creators leaving the game because they thought the game got stale or whatever, and they blame it all like the sweats and whatnot in the pub games, like, and nobody really cares, you know. So there's this pervasive attitude that is the case. I don't know. I couldn't with this thread. There was so much bullshit in it, like so much comp scapegoating. When in reality, like, there is no such thing. There is never going to be a game that does comp in the way that they actually want. You know, Hypex wants to watch a bunch of people in inflatables or mechs and stuff like that, right? Or not Hypex. I'm speaking just in general. Like a bunch of people are like, oh, well, I would watch comp if it had all the items, if it had ballers, if it was World Cup. You know, they keep saying World Cup is so good. But the reality is, go ahead.
No, I'll let you continue. But it's like I think people just forget what makes World Cup good. It's not the fucking items. Like you could put World Cup with any meta, any season, it'd be the same. It would be World Cup. It's not about the game itself. It's just it was World Cup. Like,
Yep, it's just nostalgia, right?
Exactly. That is key, right? Everybody's like, "Oh, World Cup was so good," and it's because the game was not stale. And in reality, World Cup is good because there's $30 million in the line, right? That's the prestige. But
and
the other reality
in top 2000. That was amazing.
The other reality about it, though, is that you can't make a game that is so debased in competitive integrity, where there's new items that are broken that make random people, you know, who don't deserve to be in certain situations end up getting rewarded because they got lucky with the whatever, or they were abusing a broken item that only people like, you know what I'm saying. Basically, you cannot make a competitive scene like that. If you do, the game, you know, the competitive scene will eventually be people that nobody cares about, and we'd be back in the exact same situation where they'd be like, oh, well, there's no interesting people, there's no interesting this, there's no interesting that. It's not like the competitive scene would be replaced by a bunch of new people because nobody would want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So like the thing that they want the competitive scene to strive for is impossible. Is absolutely impossible.
A lot of these people don't get that because, you know, I feel like with a lot of these people, what I notice even within the actual comp community is like, you notice on a day-to-day that a lot of these people haven't experienced any other comp community before. So they have no like general perception of how things maybe should be. I'm not saying that other games do it by the book and that what other games do is the way things should be done. Like, you know, Epic have innovated in different ways and there's been successes, there's been failures. But, you know, these people just don't, like you said, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. And like, I didn't even bother like getting involved. I just couldn't be bothered because to me, it's the dumbest thing ever where it's like, I saw people who were like, oh yeah, but like, obviously I'm going to be upset because Hypex has such a big following. Like if he's telling people the games are, no, it's not like, that's not how it works. The people who are following Hypex, their views align with his already. It's like what they say with like newspapers and like news publications. Like you follow that news publication because generally your views align with theirs anyway. It's not like they are swaying your views for the most part, right? Like people who saw what Hypex said aren't going, actually, you know what, yeah, I did like comp, but maybe try is actually a bit empty, isn't it? Like, and I'm not watching them. Or like a lot of these people think this way anyway. Like, let them think that way. They're clearly to some degree like a bit deluded. They don't actually have a great idea of what, you know, it is they want from the game or what it is that's actually going on or what's the reason the game isn't what they want it to be. If you know, if they're not, and like with like you said with those threads, how just crappy they were. they're not even ready to have a conversation to try figure out or get the actual information. They just are stuck in their ways. Like, you can't deal with people like that. So
Well, I
it's just
think
is what it is.
him saying that, and you're going, oh, well, people agree with him, sort of. Well, not that many people agreed with him because everybody should immediately call him a moron, right? Like,
Well,
I mean, I
because
kind of
he
agrees
was
to
getting
this point.
swarmed by the comp community. It's like he was
Yeah.
getting swarmed by a group.
Yeah.
Like, inherently, a lot of the people following him will like just naturally, like, they will see that tweet and like it and scroll past. Do you know what I mean? The only reason there was so much attraction to it is because so many people who don't agree with him were like attacking it, and then all their followers see it and start attacking it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like
Also, I do think what was funny was him blurring out people's names and saying, not giving him the attention. It's like, it's literally Bucky, and everybody knows what Bucky looks like. He said,
because but that's the thing. He's disconnected. Like, the casuals are like, casual Fortnite player doesn't know who Bucky is. Like, for the most part, at least. Like, it might sound crazy to us because to us, like, Bucky's a legend. But like, genuinely, even though I saw that, he probably does know who Bucky is, or like has seen Bucky around before. But to him, Bucky's not this like Fortnite legend. Like, so like, I get it. Like, he didn't need to do that, but I do get it. Like,
it was funny. That was.
It was a bit funny too. Just blaring Bucky. I don't want to give this guy
not
attention.
giving him
like,
this attention, even on my alt account. I was like, bro.
That's the other portion about it, though, is that consistently you see these creators, they are baiting the shit out of the competitive community, like hard baiting. That's why originally I'm just like having fun with it, just like memeing with the dude, because he tweets him and, you know, the I won't say the squatting dog, but like him and the Denver guy and like some of these other big content creators
the whole time.
It's impression farming. It's straight up impression farming. That's literally, they're just taking and the competitive community who's so versed in the impression farming field, right? They're PhDs on this subject, just get fucking baited. And this happens once a month. Maybe once every 3 months. You know, every so often it is the competitive community who like starts that shit, because they start to rip Fortnite, and then the other side's like, thank you, Epic Games. And they go back and forth.
Shit is so bad, bro. And it's funny because I wasn't aware of that it was like that. But like one day, like I did just see like hashtag thank you Epic Games was trending. I was like, what's going on? Wasn't everyone just saying rip Fortnite? And like I'm seeing the tweets. No, but that's the thing, DJ. Like I'm seeing the tweets. The people saying thank you Epic Games aren't the people saying rip Fortnite. This is like the casual community who are going, they're saying rip Fortnite. Hell no, they're not killing our game. Thank you Epic Games. And it's like, it's an actual war going on. But like, we just don't see it because like we're just on one side of the war. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and the best part about the Schadenfreude about all this shit is they're like, thank you Epic Games. Why is the comp community blaming Epic Games? But guess what? This fucking war is caused by Epic Games. They legit, I'm serious. They put no sweat zone in the game. Like consistent publication and promotion and social media posts and propaganda, literally attacking the comp community.
Like an in-joke, you know.
I know it's an in-joke, but at the same time, it's also like, nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you go on, we'll talk about Reddit later, it's specifically the comp subreddit. But like, you go on Fortnite BR, and legit, there are conversations about fucking sweats and and like all the way back since the beginning, you know. And that has divided the community in a significant way. I don't think, you know, it would have not happened if you weren't being prodded and stuff like that. I think obviously it would have happened no matter what, just because of the way that the community talks. But anyways,
that's what always happens in games where inherently it's not being pushed as a comp game. Like, that doesn't happen in Valorant because they come out and they say this game is a competitive game. If you don't like that, stay away, right? And people don't stay away because of that, but it's like, you get it. Like, even in COD, that shit happens where it's like, oh my God, all these people trick shotting and sniping and all these quick scopers, and you know what I mean? Like, people like complain about that and everything. Like, oh, these pub stompers, they go in and they, what's it called? What's it like, the ELO glitching called in that? Like, you know, reverse KD or whatever it is. Like, you go into, and like, you know, people complain about it in loads of different games. It just happens like that. But
I mean, people, in most games, people pay for the game, right? And you can play at home one, but obviously Fortnite is free. So everybody just sort of does what they want, and it's got a massive. What's the even stat for like how many people play Fortnite? It's ridiculous, right?
Ridiculous, yeah. I don't know what the numbers are right now, but I mean, obviously the last numbers I think that we got was around the Travis Scott event. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like,
can we just highlight that again? Jeremy, can we just get something like
That's
that
good.
again?
Yeah, I united everyone and then gave Mongrel a heart
I mean,
attack as well. That was good.
Yeah, that was legendary.
That's
Not
not
like him getting
fucking
a heart
funny.
attack.
like,
No, not him getting a heart attack, but like
it was funny
the
though.
Travis
Like, you can't lie.
Irvin, yeah, like
Jesus
the views of Destiny Jesus are of Destiny Jesus and Destiny Jesus only.
Yeah, like
All I
legit.
will
I need
share.
to like take you off of the show and send you over to Arab to brand risk because like holy
Okay,
fuck,
okay.
bro. Like goddamn. All right. Enough of this casual shit. Let's get into the actual competitive news and competitive topics and whatnot. We're done with the items. Let's get into probably not even that much more fun of a topic. Let's talk about fucking snakening, which all started. The big snakening. I think everybody's been kind of expecting one for this season, but it all started with this. Reverse 2K tweets, "Well, I'm looking for a trio. Reverse 2K, two-time FNCS champion, the last reigning champion with May and Diro, and Day, May and Diro,
May and Diro,
Day and Miro." So yeah, go ahead. Let's open up the floor. Starting with
Reverse is his fourth best FNCS placement, which is 7th, was with Ninja. Just let you know that.
And Nate Hill and Funk.
And Nate Hill and Funk. That is crazy to think about, isn't it?
Well, what did he place in?
You know, I went in a call. Hold on. You know, I went in a call with Ninja, and I said, "Why the fuck are you using an RPG?" He was so abysmal with an RPG during the moving zones. It was actually funny at that time. I had to just genuinely tell him to stop using it.
I think I remember because we were casting. Yeah, I remember that time. That's hilarious. That's good insight. No, genuinely, he's one of the best and the most consistent FNCS players.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I think probably in FNCS solos and FNCS duos, not as much because genuinely that's like probably not his forte.
You know,
So I'm not gonna get into the solos and whatever and shit like that, but Reverse 2K is somebody who thrives in large team competitions, in trios, in squads. And for some reason, Day and Miro decide that and there's a follow-up too, so we'll get to that about like why he doesn't want to play with Reverse anymore, and it's because of like play style or whatever. I just think that this is crazy for Day and Miro to think that they're great players, but this ego will kill them. I'm serious about that.
Will it?
Hell yes.
Will it?
Hell yes. I think even if they get back with Reverse 2K, and of course all that situation is like up in the air, I think that this decision, and you know they tried it before after they won, what was it, season 4, right? The Stark season. Didn't work. They got back together for season 5. It's probably going to happen again, but like, I think the big part of this is Miro and Day, whatever, the ego is starting to grow a little bit, and for good reason. But in my mind, that's going to hurt them, and I think it'll hurt also Reverse 2K how they're approaching this. I think that this will be bad. Yeah.
They played the tourney yesterday though.
Did they do well?
Yeah.
No, they did not.
They were doing okay, and then the thing is though, I think the issue that those guys have is their play style and their drop spot isn't the best in cash cups, right? Like same with like DreamHack extras, which are a big thing now, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the best spot to have and the best play style to have in those kind of tournaments where, I mean maybe in DreamHack extra, but like it's just not ideal. But in grand finals, they're uncontested, right? Mm-hmm. They're just always gonna nobody wants to contest them, right? And in the grand finals, where the point format's a little bit different, where everybody's playing endgame, everybody's playing for like full endgame, you know.
Yep.
And they can run around and get kills, and they can wipe up teams and stuff, you know. And they can have those crazy pop-off games. That wins you an FNCS just because of the point format, where you get double points per kill compared to normal cash cups, you know.
I disagree that the play style is. I mean, sure, I 100% agree that they're good grand finals players, but I mean, you just look at you think of the way that Miro and Day are, and they're mad fraggers. You'd expect that to be number one. You'd expect that on its own to stand as a great cash cup play style, right?
Not really.
I think so. I think 100%. I think
if you look at the people who do well in cash cups, they're normally, I mean, at least so far this season, from what I've seen, they're normally just playing off spawn, and then from there, they're just playing very, very safe and smart for endgame, you know?
And isn't that how they play?
Apart from the
even
first
in grand
game,
finals?
And that's not how Mirror and Reverse play. They're just, I don't know, they're always edge and always fighting a team and always shambles and stuff, you know. And then some games it works and it works really well, and some games it doesn't, you know.
Yeah, maybe in cash cups, yeah, that might be the case. I just think that once they get to the end game, it's literally and they have performed well in these types of tournaments as well. So the other thing is the drop spot. I disagree with too. Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD and EU drop at that spot, and they do literally amazing in cash cups all the time.
Yeah, I do agree. They're not as good in cash cups. I think there's just a thing with. I mean, there's somewhere they're always doing good, but if you look at like a consistently good cash cup team, right, like Ken, Janice, Chapix at Craigie, it's not that they're a better team per se than Thomas. I mean, maybe you could say they are, right? But they just do better in cash cups statistically just because of how they play them out.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
but like, I feel
you're
like
talking about
like Janice and Chapix are an exception, and like when you have to go to the exception to the rule, like you sort of prove the rule in that sense. Like I think at the end of the day, the way I see it is the reason why I said like, is it gonna kill them? This mentality is because I think they look at how they play, like in terms of from their perspective, they probably see it as like they have to rely on a lot of individual brilliance, even in these events where they are dominant, like in grand finals and you know whatnot. Like they definitely feel like they are relying on a lot of their individual brilliance, whether it be Mirror popping off, whether it be Day popping off, and they look at it and they think, hold on a minute, like I can see why they'd think we're carrying him, or like
I get that too.
Said that, but like you know what I mean, like I can see that, and I think if you do look at their style, like that's the one thing that we somewhat always saying. We're always talking about how it's always just like one of them alive or two of them alive. It's never like, you know, all three. Like it seems like the actual setup, right? Sometimes there's always something sort of going wrong there, and their individual brilliance allows them to get out of it and have these good games. And I think if they are seeing that as, yeah, you know, we can do without this. If we can get somebody who, you know, doesn't put us in those positions where we have to rely on that.
The problem for me is that the Reverse 2K is literally putting everything on the line to set them up for their individual brilliance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like they're not going to find somebody else who's like that. They just aren't. They really aren't.
I think the decision to play Boo was really weird, right? Obviously, he's literally unbelievable player, right? But in terms of the raw like IGLing and being a somewhat kind of strict IGL and letting the teammates do the work, I just don't think Boo is that kind of player, right? He's obviously insane on his own, but he does not fit that kind of reverse 2K role. Obviously, because even in last seasons, he wasn't full IGLing, right, with Bizzle, right, before.
No, yeah.
It's just kind of a weird one, but I mean, they've got back together. Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Them getting back together is great. Honestly, I think that they should probably still do well with Reverse. I think Reverse is a very mature person who's not going to take like offense to this or anything like that. It's not going to kill the trio. I'm just saying that like they need to, in my mind, they need to realize what makes them very good. And I think Reverse is a big part of that. I think that they're great players individually. I think they could do very well in duos and solos, whatever. But I think Reverse 2K is a big part of why they're winning the FNTASIAs. And if they drop him, I don't think that they're going to go anywhere. Or obviously they're still going to play well. You know, I just don't think that they're going to be back at grand finals level. So, okay.
What's the thought process there, though? Oh, this guy that's got us 2 FNTS wins out of 3. If only we dropped him, but sooner we would have got 3 out of 3.
Yeah, like I don't know. That's what I see it. That's what I see it as like.
Placed 4th again. Remember.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly, and like I see it as cool. These are issues that you guys have, but you're still winning with these issues. So just work on them. Like if you're winning with these issues, you work on them. It does. Even if you weren't winning, even if you were like getting like 2nd, 3rd, 4ths, right? Like you're so like you work on these things. So for me, it's like I understand it. That's why like I gave the whole thing of like I can see why maybe they'd say it like that, like we're relying on individual brilliance. But it's like at the end of the day, you're winning and you think the shit going wrong. Try and work on that shit. Like why?
Yeah,
it's a bit. It's the typical childish mentality in Fortnite, really.
Yeah, and he's go ahead.
Is get a coach. I think who's like, unbiased. No, I'm not suggesting. I'm not promoting coach or anything, right? But if you have a trio, shut up, man. If you have a trio, right, where there's conflicting viewpoints, right? It's not like an agreement of all 3 of us need to do this, right? There's conflicting viewpoints. You get an outside third party, right? Coach, could be a player as well, and they say, oh, work on this, work on this, work on this. And all of the players should hopefully see that. There's some good NA coaches, right? Like 50.
The ego
right?
on this guy. Holy shit, bro.
No,
Lemon,
what
it
do
is
you mean,
outrageous.
man? Ego.
They have a coach, bro. His name
Who's
is
their coach?
50. Like,
Yeah, I'm saying get 50. I literally said 50's name a second ago, right? Get the coach, get him working overtime, right? And going over them. I don't think they coached by 50. I have no clue.
they were originally. Like, that's
Yeah,
the 50 is the reason why they got
season
together.
4, but I don't, because 50's on Endless and they're on TNA,
Endless?
right?
Endless. They moved to
Is it?
Endless. Mm-hmm. Remember, there's a whole free Miro situation that you probably started.
No, that was me.
Yeah,
I was meat show and jerky, not Endless.
a little rat. Look, you're saying that, right? The problem is that in Fortnite, like, these coaches aren't that. Even you're not that where you are like separate from everything. You're like in there with the player, like you're just one of the mates as well. You might as well be a player. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're saying like, because that would make sense. Like, if you did have the person who is sort of separated from things, like I think that would work, right? But like, you know, at the same, why do you disagree?
Because whenever a trio, right? Let's say I don't know, Tommy Tomsey and Pablo Wingu, right? Albert, as he's called. You know his real name's Albert. Not joking.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Like they were having like an argument about something that happened in game, right? And they asked me, right, because I was just chilling in Discord, and I don't play the game that much. I'm not like teammates to them. Obviously, I'm not going to be biased. I'm just going to say, oh, I think this would have worked based on this, and it's not a blame thing. It's not like, what the fuck are you doing, reverse 2K? It's an auto rotate, you know, and it's not what are you doing there? You should be taking that fight. It's more of a, this is what you should try to do instead in this situation. How about you try that in these cash cups and stuff, right? Just get that unbiased opinion, right, from somebody else. Could be another player, but ideally you don't like big shots enough, or it could be a coach or something, and you just say, there you go.
Yeah, but I get that, but all of those guys respect you, and you chill with all of those guys. So like, it's not even like a thing of like. What I'm saying is that you can run into issues where in Fortnite, right? Like, let's say let's say Pablo, right? You didn't chill Pablo. You weren't really friends with Pablo, right? And the mistake is coming from Pablo. And so in that situation, you know, the other two go to you and like DJ, like, look at this shit, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah, and like Pablo might feel of a way of like, hold on a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like that is just in like a human nature thing, like it happens in all aspects of life. All three of those guys, you are like, you're cool with them, you chill with them in Discord, right? So like they just see it as like DJ, one of the boys. Like it's hard. And obviously this is like a more specific thing. I don't even think this actually matters, but like that's what I'm saying, that you can run into issues in Fortnite more so than like in other places.
I've got another example. I think it was before last season's Grands. I was running with Queasy and Jerky at different times. And I was like, and they were talking to me about something that Trulex was suggesting. I literally haven't spoken to Trulex in like over a year, I think, right? And he wasn't in the call at the time. And I was just like, oh, well, what Trulex was suggesting was probably right. I think that would have been better. And I showed them why. I was like showing them the drone free and stuff, you know? It was just like a zone positioning thing, like up or downhill, you know? Like leaving edge third when you're on a high base to go center third. I was like, well, if you just played edge third, look, next zone goes there. You've got an easy rotate, even if it didn't. Next zone went there as well. And if they didn't move off that spot, they would have had 50-50, right, on the edge of the hill. And it is, I think I'm pretty good at being unbiased. I think I'm pretty good. And that's obviously a biased thing to say. But
to be fair, when I've seen you coach, you do seem pretty. Like,
I'm pretty unbiased. I think I'm not bad at it.
I'd agree.
I'm sure the viewers are just as lost as me as to where we're going with the.
I don't know where we are. I don't even know where we are.
Let's move on a little bit then off of reverse and day.
They should get a coach, unbiased opinion to help them fix their problems rather than snaking and dissolving and
signing snaking. Really though, it's like with this year, we will get into. Let's not get into this.
Let's get into the real snaking, because you're right. That isn't snaking. That's just like, let's try to improve a little bit with the personnel change. And honestly, it made sense, or it could have made sense from their point of view. In my view, it doesn't make sense. Levin's view, I don't know. DJ's view, I don't know either. Cool. Let's move into snaking. The actual
we have a great podcast snaking, where we just know one view and like, you know, we don't know the rest. Next topic now.
It's not really next topic, because it was happened because of the reverse 2K drop, right? So Booga ended up going with Daemiro, and keep in mind, everybody listening, that this is literally like done. Okay, so we're not really necessarily caring about where people went and whatever, because that's always still up in the air, and that's why we don't really cover it, is because it's just a really tough topic to care about when it's happening over and over and over. But the implications from this, in my mind, were the more important thing, because Avery, who was playing with Booga, and well, he was playing with Stretch and Saf last season, right?
Yeah.
And they got an auto qual, they got third place. So they were planning on picking up Kanata and dissolving the trio and forfeiting their auto qual. So Avery was going to play with Booga, and Booga left. Now Avery, left in a situation where he feels like he has no options, goes to the rules and threatens not to sign the disband form so that Saf and Stretch can play with Kanata, right? So with that said, we're talking mostly, I think, about the rules, maybe about Avery's actions and how that might change him as a player and whatever. But at the end of the day, everything ended up settling. He ended up being okay with signing the disband form because Booga came back and whatever. I don't really care about all that shit. The situation is normal. There's no threats anymore. But the fact that this happened, I think, brings up an interesting discussion. Should he have been allowed to do this? Was this the right decision if it actually played out? And yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys.
Avery is an alpha male. I said this earlier, right? He's a specimen, right? 300 pounds pure muscle. The fact that he somehow single-handedly fixed the entire snaking situation, right? Just by being, what's the word?
Stubborn.
Stubborn, yeah. Like he was just very stubborn. I was like, well, if I don't have a trio, neither do you guys. And he just fucks like 3 different trios at once. It's a good play, honestly. It's definitely something we can rod you and learn from. And I do respect it. He's like, well, if you're going to snake me and chop me and mess up everybody's trio, then I'm just going to do the same thing back. And he somehow resolved it. He's playing with Uga for the 16th time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's resolved. The FNTASIA winners are back together. They're playing with Stretch and Saf are playing with Kanata, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything's back to normal.
Commandment Centered and Edgy are out here chilling, like no
vibing.
skin in the game. They're just like
they're living life. They are living life. Farming second places. Amazing.
All right, Levin.
Honestly, yeah, like it's weird because I saw this at first and I looked at it and I'm like, isn't Avery like when you look at results and stuff, like Avery's one of the goats of NA, no? And it's like you just like, I just feel like anytime I hear about Avery, he's just being treated like an absolute like Wally, innit? Like it just looks like, I don't know, I just feel bad. I'm like, Jesus, this guy's supposed to be one of the like the goats. Like you don't see like, even if someone's fallen off, you don't see them get treated like that, like with like Mongrel or something or Benji. Like you don't see people like just ragging them around, like just dropping them easy. And maybe you do nowadays, but either way, I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit odd. But if I was him, you gotta do man, innit? Like it's not the right thing to do. I don't think it's the right thing, but brother, it's like that mentality, like DJ said, of like, brother, I'm not leaving. Okay, I know you guys want your trio, but I don't have no one to play with. I don't care. Like you're gonna play with me. Like you're gonna play with me. Do you know what I mean? And then I think as much as they like stretching that, we're trying to say like, oh yeah, like we're just not gonna play. Or I don't know if they actually said that, but people were saying, yeah, stretching them weren't even playing.
He did.
He said he wasn't gonna play. That's like that's bargaining. Like that's what happens. Like he's trying to bargain. He's trying to like weigh him down. Like, look, you might as well because I'm not even gonna play. So you're not even gonna have anyone to play the finals with. Do that 2 days before the finals, brother. He's gonna end up playing. And even if Stretch actually wouldn't have played, it's like the principle. Like, yeah, you're not gonna snake me in it. Like, I totally get it from Avery's perspective. Unfortunately, though, it is busted because he shouldn't be able to do this.
Exactly. Like we're about to we're about to go into a season where we have no clue if one of the top 3 teams from last season are going to play. You know, like and dude, I imagine this. I was thinking about it. You know, dreaming about a situation where Stretch is like threatening. Stretch and Saf are like, I'm not gonna play with Avery. We're not gonna play the entire time, kicking and screaming. And they just like they're just playing like trio cash cups with like Zayt and shit who's retired. They're fucking chilling. And then they're like, we're not gonna play. And then day of they play and they just bang with Avery. They just fucking slay out. That would have been the fucking coolest shit ever. Regardless, the fact that we could even go into a situation like that where people were literally forced not to play or to play with somebody is ridiculous. In a preseason, that is just absurd. I don't know how that's a possibility. I think that is ridiculous. I get why there are rules for disbanding and 3 out of 3 and whatnot. I get that. But in preseason, you should be able to go play with whoever you want. No matter what auto-qual situation you're in, you should be able to do whatever you want without any like restrictions, or literally it should have taken one person to disband a whole trio.
Well, no, that would be a bit... Would that be bad?
No. Why not? It should literally anybody on that trio should be able to say, hey, I don't want to play with these people anymore.
Well, yeah, what if one person just has a really bad cash cup and they just go, oh, fuck these, like, and then they just lose their grand. I honestly don't think that auto grand final call should be a thing, because
Okay, let's talk about that later then. Let's bring that up again later.
Let's get into that. That's like another.
They both for the winners of season 5. They just did bad in the next grands. I mean, Chapix, Hen, and Janice, they were contested, but that's just the thing. They can't defend their spot in the week, so they get contested in grands. And then Slax, Jack, and Acorn, right? They also did. They were on con, but I just think you don't get that much practice, you know? So even though you're on con, there's a lot of things that went wrong for them, like Surge.
Yeah, that's a separate topic entirely. That's a separate topic entirely. I'm talking like literally like if you have a situation where you're tied in auto-qual or whatever, because clearly that's here to stay. In my mind, in the preseason, here's what I suggest, right? Here's my ideal situation. I mean, I haven't really thought about it too hard, but basically up until like 2 weeks before FNCS, which is tomorrow, or which is today, right? 2 weeks before FNCS, anybody on the trio can disband the auto-qual at any time, right? Up until that 2 weeks as well, anybody, like if they all 3 get back together and say, hey, we want to play again together, they can do that, right? But once that 2 weeks period comes through, then you need the 3 out of 3.
Because it gives you time to then like try with people and play, and you know you can think about it and make that decision.
And it's you're not gonna get screwed last second because one person's just like, oh, I just found the God trio, or 2 people are just like, fuck this guy, you know? There's none of that. But at least there's 2 weeks, there's time, like maybe make it 3 weeks, just a time period before FNCS where things end up getting locked in. Hey, other games do that. It's called a fucking roster lock. Like, that is
this a problem with the system, right? Where you have to play with the same people and you have to fill in this band form. Is it a problem with that system, which isn't an issue anywhere else in other regions? Or is it just the fact that the top NA's pros are the world's biggest babies? Perhaps. Look at Lone's face. He's just like, oh my god, he said it again. I do think they are a bit immature though. Like, that is a bit.
Fuck yeah. No, that's a valid point. I think the entire scene is immature in this regard, but like in general, yeah.
Look, you don't see stuff like that happen on EU. Not to like flex the region.
Oh come on. Oh come on. Last season we literally had Hen, Janice, and Chapix throwing a fucking what the hell would you even call that? Like just throwing shit at each other on Twitter. Like before.
But are you really a top tier trio unless you at least split like once before the season starts? No.
Okay, but DJ, don't let him push us over like that. Let's clarify. Look, Chapix and them, they were trying to split with Hen from even before they won FNCS. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was just like a continuation. These guys just, you know, they played FNCS and they said, we're done at this, let's split now. But you know, it's a bit different.
How do you know? How do you know?
We would have found out. They would have said.
Really? You think Stretch and Staff? Bro, there's so much stuff happening behind the scenes constantly in terms of snaking. Like, no, what? Why would they say they have their alpha core to fucking talk in?
Everybody says, bar.
Nah,
everybody says.
Everybody says because everything's on fucking Twitter. Like,
this is all on Twitter, man.
Nah, there's no DMs being posted, Twitter, bro. Like,
we're not posting DMs. It's not.
Yes, you are. You literally are. What are you talking about?
We're not posting DMs, man. We're not posting DMs. We're not posting the actual DMs. It's just random stuff, man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Whatever. But
okay. Honestly, though, actually, what about like, because you mentioned like one person should be able to disband, and I think that would leave us in like somewhat of the same position we were always in. What about like the idea of, because I know like other games.
What do you mean by that? We're always in. What do you mean?
Well, like just one person can just mess it up for everyone. Where it's like, if one person decides no, then you both lose your claim to the finals, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
that's what they
Actually,
wanted to get.
I forgot
I
to
mean?
continue. I forgot to continue. I stopped after the roster lock. But I was also envisioning a situation where, like, literally, if you guys want the thing back, you throughout the entire time, if you guys want, well, maybe not the entire time, because then you're screwing people out of the trio. But
Yeah.
like, if you want to get back with the auto qual, you just fill out the form before FNCS starts again,
Yeah.
and
You
you
should
get
be
your
able
auto
to
qual backs back.
the second the first qualifier starts should be the deadline for you being able to get back to each other.
I
And
agree.
like that would be perfectly fine.
Well, it needs to be slightly before, because otherwise you'll screw other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
But there needs to, like, that structure needs to be so fleshed out so that stuff like this doesn't happen. In other games, it's slightly easier because it's, that number one, there are roster locks put in place, and it's
You have like
5
cores and
people,
stuff.
and you have cores, and the roster is tied to the 3 core,
You can't do a
or
two-man
tied
core
to
in
the
Fortnite.
org. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
tied to the
That's a
org.
bit
Yeah,
shady. Orgs, I don't like org ties. I like 3-man core and 5-man games.
Yeah, the 3-man core works great, but you can't do that in trios. What do you do? A 2-man core? Oh, well, that's fucked.
Well, it's weird
Kind
because
of.
it's weird though because the big thing with it is that like people will argue in Fortnite, and I do agree that like a 2-man core with a different third like can transform a trio. Like it's like it feels a bit, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel right that like now somebody just gets a spot in the finals because they've just joined in with the 2 people that made it. When it like it's so
I
it feels
don't
different.
think
But,
that I would be so fine with with any of the auto qual finalists to come in with somebody new. I would be fine with that.
Think of the storylines.
Fair enough. Like no, but fair enough, right? But like I think that's the main argument I've seen of it when this conversation was had in the past about 2-man cores. But then I look at other games where there are cores, like even like a 3-man core in like CS or Val, you add 2 new people, the whole team can change still.
Yeah.
So it's not like maybe like 2-man cores and that concept isn't as bad as people once thought it was, but who knows? I don't think we'll see it, but
I think the system's fine. Just NA people are always crying.
honestly,
There you go. Another example.
yeah, like,
Right there. You can just skip this part. Honestly, it's just Stretch crying. You have to see it.
Yeah, it's just more context on the screen right now. It's basically just saying, hey, we're not going to play, blah, blah, blah. I feel bad for blah, 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 all these different things. But yeah, it is literally just Stretch ranting. I won't say crying. He's venting a little bit early in the morning, late at night for him, type of beat. He's in this Feels Marvin's room. I don't think that this is a NAE. This is an NAE's problem.
looking at NA
I think
pride.
it is. No, I don't see this happening on West as well.
This happened literally in Brazil in the other time.
Can't speak Portuguese.
Literally last season, I'm pretty sure it happened in Brazil. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't happen in NA West because
they just split though.
Literally everybody has in NA West a fucking like. They just have everybody agrees. They all have a gentleman's agreement that we're just trying to beat Arkham Rex and Epic Whale, so it doesn't matter what happens in terms of the trios, stakes, whatever.
Let's just see who can get second this season, guys. Come on. That's the entire backcourt. It's just
what's the best team to get second? Yeah, like what's the best composition of all of us to get second after those guys? Yeah.
And it almost never works out where it's like the other the team that you would expect in anyways. I don't think that it's an issue, and when EU has this issue, I'll laugh in your faces.
Okay. You're so mad. I'm envisioning right now, like the live chat, like on the premiere on YouTube, and like trophies in the chat going, yeah, this did happen in Brazil with blah, 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 and mistakes on the foot of it. And I'm like, no, trophy, that's fuck. Everything, bruv.
Yeah.
Trophy, though.
And who, like, you act like you have all the details on Hen Janice and Chappies and shit, but like, who knows? Maybe somebody was threatening all that time, and that's why they stayed together. Maybe Hen was like, fuck this, I'm not signing the disband form, dumbass. And that's why they got back together,
because they were airing everything.
Yeah, that's what you think.
We would have definitely known that one.
Anyways, all right. So I did want to let's talk about auto call now, since DJ, you wanted to bring that up, and how like you think that that's not necessarily a good thing. We've talked about it before on the show, but it'd be nice to have a different perspective.
I just think let's say right, so it's three from the last grands go through, and 3 from first week, 3 from second week. By week 3, I mean still in EU, but whenever I watch NA, it's literally the most it's like Biddy Bob 1 2 3 running around.
Yeah.
I have no clue who they are, and it's just because the lobbies are so much easier, and it makes the the FNCS viewers were down, right, a little bit
Mhm.
for season 6. I
Mhm.
think it's just because random people playing, and people want to watch the good people play. And if you've got 9 of, let's say, the best players and the best, some of the biggest streamers, you know, just completely missing an FNCS,
Yep.
until the next grands, and also they miss heats as well, which I think is a bit stupid. So what I think they should do, personal opinion, is 3 weeks, right, of the quals, and then there's 2 different heats, or maybe 3 different heats, but then the top like 50% of that heat go through. So it's a little bit easier for heats, but
Yep.
there's less people playing in it. So it makes the
So-
weeks more competitive because you need to be having good placements in those weeks to get into those 2 heats, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, that's something
You
I've
know,
proposed in the past. I think season 6 had high viewership specifically because that was like the beginning of the auto-qual type of system, right? Where
Yeah.
people were griefing in the weeks, or sorry, not season 6, season 5.
Yeah.
And that might have had a
More
big impact. You might be right about that. However, it seems like it's more of a structure thing than anything else. You still want some sort of
Yeah.
incentive for people to like play really well.
And especially when they're not trying during the weeks because they don't want to get top 3 for more practice.
Mm-hmm.
Like Savage and that.
That changed this week. That was not happening, or that changed last season. That was not happening because it was top 3
yeah, because it was the auto heats call, right, for top 10.
Mm-hmm.
That was completely stupid. Whose idea was that?
You know what DJ reminds me of, Bala? You know, like when like LeBron wasn't in the finals for the first time and the NBA viewership's down, so you got like the LeBron stands like going, well, yeah, we should change the NBA rules this way. And, like they're just trying to change it so you can just get LeBron in the finals somehow. Like, DJ sounds like that. Like, well, yeah, of course the viewership's going to be down when like Mongrel's. Like, if you actually,
no, it's not even about that, though, is it?
I know you're not doing that. It just sounded like that.
It
That's
does sound like that a little bit.
Like that.
Well, he's arguing the
Epic
opposite,
knows
though, right?
that. They know that they need like Benji and Mongrel in the FNCS and Nietzsche and stuff. That's why they invited them to the AIM thing, you know, like the AIM edit course race and stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just for them, just for viewership. So I don't know. For a game that wants viewership for the esports to run well, I think taking out top teams for an entire FNCS until grand finals is incredibly boring. I think they should remove it after FNCS.
The reality is that that's a big problem with the structure of this game in general, because in a game where you might have like a league system, right, where not a league system, or in a game where you have set players like Mongrel, even if Mongrel right now is not worthy of being in a top 33 team in the world, he would be, right, because he's Mongrel. His brand's so massive that some team would like bring him on, right? If this game was structured with all orgs and stuff, right? If it, franchise, that's what I was thinking. I can't remember that. If this was a franchise thing, like Mongrel would be in the finals every time because one team would have him because he's just like the biggest brand. But like in this game, you can't guarantee that because they're not like doing anything like that with a franchise where people just automatically in because they're whoever. And so it's like, as much as they could change, like they could change all these things to make it easier for those people maybe to get in, or so that you have the bigger names in. And those guys could still just not make it, right? And so like now you just have stinkers. You just have stinkers in there because Mongrel and that didn't make it, or they didn't even have a chance to make it.
They're not even stinkers, but like, I mean, I like the fact that it's open tournaments and anybody can qual, right? Like, you know, Percy Levin, right? 13-year-old little French kid. He sounds like a little teenage girl, right? And he went demon mode last season. He had 200 earnings at the start of it, right? And he's now at like 6 earnings or something, right? Just because he just played a lot and he made into grand finals and he did like decent, you know, throughout all the weeks.
Yep.
And I think that's good, and that's why Fortnite's probably one of the best esports.
If it didn't have that, I think the game would be dead. The competitive scene would be dead.
Because why would you be playing the game if you can't make grand finals? Because this big stream is invited to every tournament, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'll bring that up later when we talk about the comp subreddit, but yeah.
Oh damn.
I just think, what other incentive can you put in the structure of FNCS to incentivize trios to stay together, other than auto-qual type situations? Because in my mind, I can't think of a single one, and that is so important. Because man, it makes it so confusing. There's no legacy building, man. Like you literally need, and this is one of the reasons why we're in trios at all, is to have like this consistent type of thing where people are building. We're getting multiple time FNCS winners. The team is, you know, a core that you can actually think about as the guys from the other season. Like if you don't have that, you don't have a game, you don't have an esport, you don't have history.
I mean, most trio, definitely not actually. I mean, some trios stick together. You know, it's like FNTASIA Commandment have been together for a very, very, very long time now, right? And it's one of the reasons they're so good. But it's like, oh, they're so good and they're so consistent. Are we trying to form this new amazing trio with all these top players, like a combo type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to beat them,
Yeah.
So I think it kind of works. It works both ways. You play together for a long time, you get that chemistry, you get that experience together, versus getting all this new talent in one trio and trying to make that work.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, right? It's like it's so many different levels, and in my mind, like without the auto-qual, it'd be shambles. Yeah, we'd probably have more super teams like Margot Mitro Tayson forming like a bunch of times, like Noah Riley for no reason, and it'd be experiments. But like you'd never see it'd be a flash in the pan type of situations where they tried it might have worked. We won't ever see it again,
Yeah, it worked for 3 hours of that cash cup, and then they had to sit. Yeah, they got third in DreamHack. What's it called?
Extra.
They placed in the cash cup, got third in DreamHack Extra, and then they were just like, oh well, you're not playing the game as much as me. I'm full time now. I'm only playing all the scrims, and I don't know. And then they just split. It is just a bit weird how it works, but that's just the thing. I think the thing is, especially in EU, Evan, is everyone wants to be the best because the money is so good at the top.
Yeah.
People will literally do anything. They will snake somebody they've played with 100 times. Same with Booger, right? He snaked Avery sometimes just because he's always trying to get that little bit better option. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It does.
Yeah, it's weird. I think if there was just more value in getting to the finals itself, you'd have people who are more likely to just take the security over. And once again, that's just something that is so hard. Epic can't solve that. Like that's something that like you'd only get in a franchise league with like bonuses and contracts and whatnot. And like people are less likely to just take those gambles because, like you said, like because the prize money is so good at the top, everybody's trying to build a winning formula. Whether that means snaking people, like you said. And I also think that things do need to be adjusted because obviously we look at things mainly from an EU perspective, DJ, but like you look at some of the other regions where like the format for season 5, right? Like that format just doesn't work to me in an OCE, right? Where like
yeah, straight
you
up.
just will get, do you know what I mean? Like you just get so many, so like I still really think that like formats should be adjusted. Like obviously it's harder for Epic to manage, fair enough. Like maybe that's why it's a bit difficult, but it's like region to region, all regions are different. Like formats should be adjusted region to region to me. Agreed. Because
we talked about that last episode with Timmy. Like a lot.
Yeah, like the fact that that's still not a thing.
Yeah,
I hope we do get that at some point because the regions are so different. They should be treated differently.
We have minor changes in terms of like how many teams qual through opens and stuff like that, but it's really, really minor.
And how many heats there are. Different though.
Yeah, I agree.
In EU, like a top 3 team is probably going to stay together because, I mean, just getting top 33 in EU is fairly challenging, right? Like you've got to do good in the weeks, which are extremely hard, or in the heats, which are unbelievably hard. Versus, I mean, in Brazil, a team might just, I'm not saying Brazil's bad, obviously, but a top 3 team in Brazil, before, I'm going to get some kid DM me now going, oh, why are you talking shit about Brazil? But
it's okay, nobody watches the show. We only get like 12 comments. It's fine.
13.
Yeah, like in Brazil, like a top 3 trio would split just because they know they can probably make grands and they want to do better in grands than they did last time.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even about like the top trios. Like sometimes it might just be about like the people in an FNTASIA final who are going to get like 10th to 20th. Like those guys are important. Like if those guys are constantly switching things around, like that in itself is very, very messy and makes things hard to follow. You have a lack of history and all these things.
Agreed.
But like I feel like in EU, we've gotten to the stage where those people in EU don't really split up as much now. Like, Michael, Mexi, Verexes of the world. Like,
I think people are understanding the value of staying together no matter what, but I think that only came about because there's auto-quals and because of other stuff as well. I think that hastens that acquisition, I guess, of of that quality. Anyways, let's move on. Let's actually talk about real comp Fortnite now, not just the drama, not just the news, not all that stuff. Let's take a look at the Cash Cup results from this week. We'll go through EU Cash Cup, then EU Cash Cup Extra, and then we'll go over NA East real quick. And then we have a couple different like third-party stuff to go over. Let's start with Cash Cup. First, it was Floki, Clement, and Deceptos who popped. Well, they didn't really pop off, but anyways, this is just like the qualification for Extra. Thoughts on this leaderboard, the Cash Cup
I
itself?
watched their games. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was the most bored I've been Marvel doing in a very long time. They just play like very, very boring Fortnite. Do you want to see a clip? Hold on. You want to see this clip? Let me get it for you.
DJ's turning into he's getting to the
Producer.
boomer balla TW type of situation right now where
Let me
he's
put
getting
it
bored
in-
of
let me
auto
put it on.
viewing Cash Cups. Huh. It's like this has happened
I
already.
thought it'd be more interesting, but they basically just go low ground most of the game
Yeah.
and then just sit on low ground and get kills.
Here, let's watch.
There was like one interesting thing.
Let us watch.
This is good.
So this is 37th, or sorry, 37 people alive, 7th zone. Okay, cool.
That was the most interesting thing that happened the entire.
I watched them as well, and I thought that they I thought that they were very impressive up to the stage of like where they were at the beginning of last season, where they were fragging out low ground when they made it to endgame, when they made it past Benji Amplify Matsu off spawn, and they would be playing in the endgame. I thought they were a very big threat on low ground. It's just about consistency in getting there that was struggling with them, and that's why I think that they have.
So.
Yeah, that's why I feel like they have good success in these types of tournaments, and it'll be week 1 where we really get to test them, you know.
Yeah, I agree. When casting it with Shia, shout out Shia Wager, man.
Okay, let's move on to the Cash Cup extra results then, because they placed second there.
yeah. They were very much the same, where it was like, you know, we made a joke of like they're just doing everything they do to like stay out of sight, out of mind, where it's like we should watch them because they're like winning and like they're one of the better teams, but it's like we're watching them doing shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it is very I can see why you could VOD review and be like, yeah, this is boring. And it's not boring because it's bad. It's like boring because it's like they are just, you know, really sticking to the book. They have really good fundamentals. They do have really good fundamentals. Yeah. And the most exciting part of their game is when they will do their low ground drop, claim low, and they just start popping off. Like the Siptos share, I swear, the Siptos to me is one of the like best. But like watching the Siptos like is crazy. Like you'll watch him and this guy is a different gravy, like a different sauce. And I don't think he necessarily gets the credit for that. Like I feel like he is just insane.
He's very good.
Yeah. But you know, these guys, that's what they do. You know, that's what they do. I think, like you said, you know, very, very early on in the season. And I think we've seen teams do well at this stage in the season and things just sort of fall off. But, you know, good sign. You know, they seem to still,
what do you think about this theory? Okay, I have this theory. I've been developing it for a few seasons now. And there's like okay, let's say in any sport, right? It's a sports science for you.
This is a conspiracy again.
No, it's not a conspiracy. It's a DestinysJesus theory. Right? There's a theory, well, not even a theory. In any sport, right? There's a peak cycle, right? Where you play somewhat bad, you fix your mistakes, right? You improve your fitness, cardio, whatever, you know. You get better, and then towards the end, you peak, you know. And there's a lot of trios, and this happens in trios a lot, where they do really good at the start of the season in like cash cups and stuff, you know. And I don't know why, but it's because they're doing good or something, and maybe they're playing too much, maybe their work ethic isn't as good, so they kind of slow down their momentum, you know. And then towards grands, they get a little bit complacent. They don't really have a good plan, and they kind of like overplayed. So they're not really putting all that effort in, and they just do bad, you know. There's some teams who do bad in cash cups.
I'm pretty sure.
The opposite way. I don't know. I felt quite smart when I came up with this, right? And it's the opposite way around, where they do bad in all the cash cups and stuff. They get like 50th. They get money maybe consistently, but they do bad, and then they fix those mistakes. And then in heats, because they've spent the entire time trying to stop themselves being bad, then magically they're not bad anymore, and they do good.
Yeah, that is really a thing. Like you look back at season 5, Refscard and Jet and Scram. You look back at season 5, Refscard and Jet and Scram peaked before the start of FNTASIA. Like they were playing 100%. every single possible third-party tournament. Like they'd be streaming and like scrims like non-stop. Like and you know, they looked good. That's why they were one of the favorites. So people were like, oh my god, these guys could actually be like a contender to win the whole thing. And it's like obviously they had the steamy stacks bollocks that happened, but like like they looked like they peaked before the season started, like the actual FNTS season started. So I definitely think that happens in Fortnite. And
also maybe if you do good at the start, people just copy what you do and it doesn't work anymore. Right?
That does happen. That does happen.
It 100% happens. If you do bad at the start, right? And you're just doing some randoms. Nobody's going to copy a team like 40th place just playing like floppers, you know. But that team is now copying the team doing good, and they're learning and they're developing their own play style over time. Fix their mistakes, yeah, they do good. Happens the whole time.
You're setting the meta.
Do we think they're
People
peaking
look-
though? Do we think that they're like? Because to me, this is them returning to some sort of form that they had before the season, during last season, basically.
I don't think these guys are peaking. I don't think these guys are peaking. I do just think that this is their level. I think they are a team that is going to do this, where they're just like, you know, they'll win a couple events or they'll do really good in a couple of events. They might win the odd cash cup every season. Like, I do think this is their level. So I don't think they're peaking.
Yeah. I think they're one of the best TARP management teams I think I've seen in recent times, just in general.
Yeah,
it's again just a matter of like of being able to get there, because the way that the Floki plays the back of the TARP, the way that I don't know, it just is really impressive to me. But their game plan around everything, I think they're landing Misty this season, so we'll get to see, like, that's different for them. They were landing Pleasant Park. I think the season the week they qualified, they actually were landing Slurpee. Yeah. Yeah, they were landing Slurpee in the last week when Benji and them were landing back over towards Pleasant, because the first week it was just full grief, which I really don't think that they should go for again.
They don't need to. They showed when landing Slurpee they can win at just any POI, just on their good day.
Yep, exactly. Okay, first place here, Mustache, Malabuka, and Shizo King. What's his name? What's his actual name?
Shizo King.
Shizo King.
I've heard of all these three players. I mean, I've heard of them. They won this tournament. Yeah, that's fine.
I know Shizo's the one who won game 1 of Solo All Stars.
Yeah.
And Malabuka and Mustache, these guys were playing pretty well in the last trio season, so it's not like they're completely out of the blue. I think the biggest thing about these guys is they're contesting Mr. Savage, Andretta, and Refsguard. And in the G2 Cup, I talked about it last time. They bullied them. It was like 4. They never lost, or they lost to them one game. I think it was game 2, and then the rest of the games, either Mr. Savage and them got away, or they killed them, and they chased them down, or whatever. So this is going to be a big challenge in my mind. If they're playing well in Cash Cup Extras, this should signify that they're going to be qualifying for weeks, for heats. This could end up being a team that comes through into grand finals and ends up contesting or fighting for Steam.
Depends who gets the top 3, and will they contesting that? One of them is Russian, right?
Yes,
I think. All of them Russian.
It's a Russian.
Definitely. Yeah. That's unfortunate, Mr. Savage. Another poor season.
Oh god.
But no, not even poor season. But he's just getting contested like he did in the other seasons, right? So
they didn't get contested last season.
Yeah,
that's how they got second. Yeah, exactly.
A bit unfortunate, but that's how the game works.
Okay, they placed 11. They placed
Vino in second.
Hold on a second. Before we move on to them, let's talk about Mr. Savage and them. I don't know if you guys got any impressions from them in this tournament or what, but they were landing steamy. They were getting contested a couple times. They were mostly winning their fights. They weren't fighting Mustache and them until the very last game. They just could not get anything going until maybe the last couple in endgame. Beyond that, I feel like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know why I keep hating on Mr. Savage teams, man. I feel like I'm the biggest fucking hater.
Like,
every FNTASIA episode, I'm just fucking like sitting here like, oh, here we go again.
I think they were doing all right, and then they died to a there was a whole team somehow that placed in the Cash Cup and were in this tournament, and they were just running about. All 3 of them aim hacking very blatantly.
In this one, oh my god! I thought that was the Cash Cup.
No, it was this one. Their last game, the 9-minute one, right, at 4-4 for you. They just full died to a team that was aim hacking. Unfortunately.
Nice, very nice.
So they would have played higher if they didn't have that happen, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that's when they started playing well. I mean, but you can't blame the entire thing. I mean, look at the placements. There was only one game in here besides that was any sort of decent at all. Every time I saw them get into fights, like I'm okay with it most of the time, especially with the positioning that they take. But I do feel like they overbuild. They're going for too much, too flashy, rather than sticking with the simple and the regular. Let's get in, because I feel like every time towards the end they're shambles. After a fight, they're always shambles and never actually in a position where they should like be after wiping a team that's easier.
The team that is good at fighting, I said a second ago, was CR, Mitro, and X8, which 12th, yeah. Bit interesting. Any thoughts, Levin? I can see you looking eager to say something.
Well, no, during the tournament, I was interested to see what they do. They were always in very awkward scenarios, very awkward situations, and in general, as much as like 12th is actually a really good result for this team, I wasn't impressed. Like there were very small things like like CR getting sniped, or like that Mitro's overextending in a fight and they just get caught out, or X8 just like nowhere to be found. Like it was very, very typical stuff of all three of them, if anything, right? And I love these guys, but like all the stuff I was seeing for them is like just same old CR, same old Mitro, same old X8. And so like I haven't yet, and I haven't reviewed every single game. But like from what I did see of them, it was like there was nothing that made me think, oh wow, he's improved, he's developed as a player. This is, I mean, like like it didn't feel like, oh yeah, this is new from these guys. It's just like same old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I saw CR dive a box, get a kill, and then start looting without covering himself and just getting beams. It was literally same old, same old. They were always in the positions that I expect them to be. But they made it to 12th, so maybe same old might be fine this season. I do think that there will never be any changing unless Mitro gets away from his friends. And even then, I feel like he's probably going to bring that style to somewhere else, So I don't.
The
X8 was the best team. That was the best player on this team in my mind.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
X8 was going to play an FNCS with Chapix and Hen, and then he got dropped like an hour before, right before they called and they won grands. Bit unfortunate.
You got dropped for Janice though, so like can't really argue. If I was getting dropped for Janice, like it's
understandable, but a bit RNG, bad RNG.
You think sitting there thinking, oh, they picked Janice over me? How
would that happen, man?
I mean, like, nah, fair enough.
Okay, this team is not a team anymore, so we don't really have to talk about them unless insofar like just talking about like
Vino, Reason, and Bloomy. That's the new trio apparently.
No, but DJ, Bloomy. So this is perfect. This is where your expertise, because you're like, I joke about you sitting in calls with everyone, but you are literally sitting in calls with these guys. So like, give us the juice. Like, come on, give us the juice.
Right. Basically, Noah went full time. Right. He's not at school anymore. He used to wake up. He literally was the best aimer and the best fighter and the best mechanics worldwide while he was at school, waking up at 6 a.m. every day. So anybody who's watching this who goes to school and complains about not being able to go good, stop being a pussy, right? Okay, anyway, so he went full time and he wants to like full grind, to be the best. He was very disappointed after being bad in All Stars. Obviously Vino, DestinysJesus coaching, just limited little plug. Second place, and Reason in 6th, I believe. They did better than him in All Stars, so he wanted to like prove himself. And now they dropped Vidil because Vidil was like always in Valorant, and they always argued and stuff during tournaments. Which I mean, I guess they obviously did well with Vidil. And then they picked up Vino, who wasn't even playing bad. Vino doesn't even play bad. It's not really the issue, I'd say. It was more so Reason doesn't want to play the game that much. And I kind of think that's good because it works, A lot of people, they overplay the game. So when it comes to actually practicing and tournaments, they don't have the energy to do well. Whereas Reason is literally like the human embodiment of ADHD in a single Fortnite player, which works really well. So basically Noah was like, oh, these guys are shit after getting 3rd place or something. And he went to play with Aqua and Vidil, who dropped Fastroki. So now Fastroki's playing with someone else.
Fastroki's goated, by the way. Like,
he is good. He's definitely very good.
Yeah,
but
he's very
not really rated. It's just one of those things that you can have the best results, but if you're not rated by DIGL or whoever's doing the snaking, and I do think Noah Riley now has the record for the biggest snake. I think maybe
Boga
definitely has done a lot of snaking.
They've been together for 2 seasons though, that entire trio. So I don't know about that.
No, if you just think of the amount of times he's dropped and then re-dropped and then.
Yeah, but I don't even consider that.
Definitely not. You can't compare the NA people. You can't compare with the NA kids when it comes to snaking. Maybe the EU, yeah, but like nothing compared to NA and that.
Anyways, I don't even keep track of the micro snakes, like the mini, like in between type of situation. Okay, well that's interesting. So this show's not a thing anymore, but I think So Vino and Reason will still be playing together. Do we expect?
Ooh.
Oh, Bloomy, Vino, Reason, and Bloomy.
Bloomy
That
is
sounds
like-
like
You know what it
a
is,
god trio on paper.
Do you know what this reminds me of, yeah? Honestly, and I love Bloomy, but you know, like when you get like the people like, you know, Barlow or DJ or like BloodX, like, you know, like the typical Fortnite boomer that's like smart, like they understand the game and they
What
always
the
just go like,
That's
yo,
Bloomy.
just wait. And like they go like, oh, imagine you give me the two youngest gods, like I will just like sit there and control this team. And like Bloomy is now in that situation. Like BloodX is like crying at night thinking, I wish this was me. Like Bloomy is sitting there and he has two like completely cracked out of their mind players, and like he can just like direct them and like just do shit. He's honestly living the dream. He's living the dream.
I'm not even. This might sound like bait, by the way, but you know, BloodX and the whole Norwegian Discord thought Bloomy had zone hacks, like actual zone hacks where you can mark 50-50 from those. That might sound like bait, but I promise to God it's not. They all genuinely thought he was zone hacking. If that's the thing.
This is a podcast where we don't talk about hearsay and accusations
not even-
and
not an accusation, it's fact.
I'm just trolling. I don't give a fuck. That's interesting. Okay, more results. Let's move on a little bit from this because obviously we can't comment on a trio that's not even really formed. I was just trying to get some juice. Anyways, Han Janice and Chapix apparently threw this tournament, and that's scary.
Yeah,
If they apparently threw 4 games, that is
they
scary.
just kept on getting second when they should have won.
Second,
I
third.
looked at some of their games, like
I didn't get to watch them at all
were making
because they
bad
literally
plays. Like,
never
one
came up
game-
on the stream.
one game they had 2 chug cannons and they used like both of the charges to jump down and try to 2v2, and it's just like, you got 2 chug cannons, just play heal off. Just one of you go down storm, the other one uses the 2 chug cannons or whatever, you know, or play it together. I don't know. It was just simple things like that, you know, and
Just a bit of like a concentration.
not even that. It's just them being stupid, to be honest. I mean, it's like, you got a chug cannon. Why are you using a chug cannon to heal 15 shield when you can heal off with it? You know, just simple mistakes. And there was one game where he got like headshot sniped on height during 9th zone or something. It's about lucky, but
So I like a concentration.
Yeah, like
lack of concentration.
It is though. Like that's what I'm saying. But that's what it is. Like it's just like they had a tournament where like, you know, their head's not really in it, and that's how you make those silly mistakes when you're their level. Like they are so good that like you're only
Yeah, I
making those
guess.
kind of mistakes when like your head's not really in it. Like
I won't even say their head's not in it. It's more so just like it's just new stuff, and they're not that good at the new stuff, you know.
yeah.
And then some simple mistakes which can be easily fixed.
But it's
And
like
the good thing, the simple mistake is easily fixed, right?
but like I don't even overreact to that because it's like you look at this. I don't even remember the DreamHack point format too well, but like in those games where they get second, if those 2 games to the end are first, they win the tournament, right? Like mathematically, they probably win the tournament.
That's plus 3 points every.
They had
Every
3
game.
games that they got second, right? So they would have been on plus 18.
Plus the kills that they get. So yeah, they would have
Yeah,
won the
plus the
tournament.
kills.
Second, third. Yeah, okay.
They would have
Honestly,
probably
you have to
been
go-
around
you have to-
800
you have to
points.
go back. You have to go back and watch like to see if those scenarios were actually winnable. But it does sound like they were winnable situations where they.
No,
just
they were.
won.
They were.
Yeah, so it's like, you know,
That's why I'm scared. I'm not scared of them doing bad. I'm scared that they're fucking on point. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're bro, any other team who throws that much is not going to be up here. You know, they're going to be way the fuck down here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
you just landed on Bloomy. Like, oh, God.
That's my point. It's like, okay, if they're literally like minor situations where they can't win, whereas the rest of these guys up here, you know, their second places are situations where they can't win, like or they're getting third or whatever, and they're situations that they can't win. If they're just having a problem with conversion and it's minor problems, I'm fucking terrified. And the fact that it happens multiple times, yeah, you know, it might be a sign that their heads are in the game or whatever, but this is just a random tournament. So it's not even really that's going to happen again, right? Like when it comes to grands or when it comes to whatever, like that's not necessarily, then when it comes to qualifiers, which we'll see them again, by the way, it'll be very, very interesting. I think that this is a season where they're the best trio in the world right now. And they won. We'll look at a result where they won another trio third-party tournament. They won the G2 Get the Cash tournament last week. Like they are looking so damn good. So
Can I
damn
just say something?
No.
Just quick about DreamHack Extra. Well, I will, even if you say no. All right. This is probably the most useless tournament. Why is it even a thing, right? So they have these top 100. It was meant to be 132, but somehow look, there's 148 teams because people were like somehow queuing in even though they didn't qual because of the bug points, right? But it's the top 132 teams, right? Makes sense.
Mhm.
Why not just have a full end game format, and it can be really valuable practice for all the players with Storm Surge and stuff like that, and the games will be more stacked and it's a lot more enjoyable. Why is it like a random W key format? You know what is tragic? I told you about this. If you go to page 2 and scroll down quite far, you can find Rojo. He is absolutely horrendously hopeless in this format. He is lost. Look, these are the teams that queued in like and played like 2 games, you know, and then there's Rojo somewhere in the midst, and he played all 10 games.
Oh, here
which
he
is
is.
bad. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. He's played all 10 games, and the people next to him played like 4 and 5, you know?
Why are you going at my boy Rojo, man?
What? Do you have beef?
No. Rojo's my boy, but it's just a 6-point per kill format, and it's Rojo, and it's not going to go well.
That's definitely stolen. Somebody in your Discord mentioned that to you. Now you're like saying it like you're just like.
No. Well, it's true though. It is. It's not good for him.
Yeah, I mean the
this should be an
format.
format.
Yeah, of course. Every tournament should be an
That'd be
endgame format. We're done with this Elim crap. Like I'm so done with it. But this is the reality of it. I actually find this tournament very insightful. Like I enjoy watching it. I find it insightful because we get glimpses at some of the off spawn stuff. We get glimpses at who's in good form for end games, and it's not like they're unstacked games completely. They're still in the middle. It's kind of whack a little bit, but they're better than Cash Cup games for the most part, and so I find it interesting. It's something extra that actually includes the top players, and it's not just bot stomping.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's all pros fighting, but I still feel like a full lobby format of pros would be more interesting for endgame stuff.
100%. Yeah, of course, for sure. But that leaves people
Make it
out.
0 points per kill. That'd be good.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm down for that. Bring back Aura Scrims.
0 points
eventually.
Okay. Where they've gone?
I don't know either.
They literally were a success.
Oh my god. Was that a thing?
What?
The Aura script. When was that? I just had a flashback.
You just
it's like a test thing they did, right?
Yeah, and it was a massive success, and then we just haven't seen it.
Well, it was a massive success because they kicked out all the pros.
Well, that's the thing. I was literally going to say the reason why you don't know about DJ is because they kicked out everybody like you, and that's why it was a success.
I mean, I never played it. To be honest, I was too dog shit to go for it.
So basically, by the last day of it, right? Like almost every single game was like a stacked, like full surge game, like moving surge, everything. Like it was really good games.
No trios.
No trios.
Trios. Oh.
Yeah, it was really good. But by that point, like they had to they kicked out all the pros, and like pros weren't really playing it. They didn't even know what was happening.
I mean, pros would rather play versus other players, I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. Pros would just ruin
practice is decent at the moment as well. Like it's much better now.
I think E practice plus Aura Scrims would be really good.
I don't know.
I think it would be really, really good.
I think anything in game won't work that well.
I wonder, is there a restriction on they tested out Aura Scrims or whatever, and they were like, oh shit, this is a massive success. And then the global team at Epic is like, actually, no, you can't do this just in EU because then EU will become the best region ever when we go back to global competition. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna argue
they'd have to scale it so differently for other regions like that because you can't just copy the thing from EU and put it on NA it just wouldn't work, right? So it's it would
just work better.
In
terms of practice, it absolutely fucking would. Just because of play styles. Okay, you guys seem kind of bored about the extra Cash Cup results. Shall we move on to NA East, where you guys will be even more bored?
Nah, just skip it. Nothing interesting happened. I guarantee it.
No, but because that's the thing. Nothing really interesting happened in this.
But that's not the point. Of course, nothing happened interesting. Maybe in the past we've had Chapix, popping off, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! He just clutched DreamHack Extra." But that's not gonna happen every time. But you can still watch the teams and
of course. But it's a thing of do you know what it feels like? If you told me that this was a leaderboard from last season, outside of the Vino playing with Reason, I would just believe you. I'd just be like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like it just looks the same to us.
Yeah, like everything just really looks the same. I don't know.
Have a look at NA. Let's just have a
Okay, so
brief
we should
look,
just
and I'll tell you if there's anything
hold on,
interesting.
DJ. I need to probe this a little bit more. So we should just not fucking look.
Okay.
Like, okay, it's the same thing. Like, yeah, whatever.
No,
Let's
it's
move
gonna be
on.
the same.
no, because you know what? No, because what it is like this is like one of the first big events of the season. So like you're expecting like some crazy shit or like some new. Do you know what I mean? But like this tournament just wasn't that. Like even though it was the first like sort of big event of the season, it was just like any other event, which is why like there's not been that sort of like, oh my god, this guy's insane, this guy's crap. I tried to like manufacture that with Deceptus, but like still like nobody gives a shit anymore. Like everyone's just like, yeah.
Nobody cares.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you with the Subtos. And I'd even go into like I didn't get to watch Seti, Cammy, and Teak in this tournament because observing, but like I
Really
think
boring.
all right, fine, fuck it. Like we're
They are the most boring team out of 148 teams who are competing. The most boring. They're good. They're boring.
Is Seti, Commandment, and Edgy boring?
No,
just
they're not boring though. Well, they're,
Okay.
they are boring,
They are
but
so boring.
they are boring. But like their end games are really fun. But the rest of their like everything else is boring.
You know what? We're just gonna end the
No,
podcast.
no,
Fuck
no,
it.
no,
You
no.
guys are Hypex now. Fucking competitive is boring. Like Jesus Christ.
No, bro, because there are people who they're like early and mid aren't boring. Like watch Halo and Champions, like that shit's not boring.
Can I just say something?
Clemmy,
I might be
the
telling you
Simpsons
some
and
Hypex.
Foggy had the most poggers fucking like early game shit where they're W King, Mr. Savage, and Dread on Ref's guard in the first game. That shit was fucking sick. Anyways,
I think I might be telling some Hypex, but I haven't watched more than 30 minutes of a tournament since Grands.
What?
I think. I can't be honest. It's so boring. I go and
Wait,
video after,
This
obviously.
guy is actually one of the casuals. I didn't realize it. I don't separate myself from you now.
I actually think
Never
I'm casual now.
Yeah, this is coming from like this is coming from a deeper place.
I know what's going to happen. I don't need to sit there and waste 3 hours of my life watching a tournament where I know.
Best coach
what it
in the
is
world, by the
that-
way, guys. If you want to know and improve at Fortnite, hit up DestinysJesus because he
You
is
should.
just the best coach in the world.
I know
What kind of
who's going to
coach?
win before the tournament
What
starts.
kind of
Like,
elite coach goes? Yeah, that's a bit boring, man. I don't really watch anymore. Like,
it's true.
Like,
Hold on. Alright, I do a lot of work and I don't want to burn myself out in terms of like. But I don't want to watch a 3-hour tournament and go review it for an hour afterwards. How
That's
fucking
fine.
boring that be. So I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, fair.
I'm gonna
You
watch
take a
it
break.
either way, and I'm gonna help people who played in the tournament. I'm gonna work with them and stuff. You know, I'm not just like not doing anything like the tournament. It's just, I'm not just gonna sit there and watch it. I'd rather go do something else.
Yeah, no, I don't fucking watch the tournaments while they're live. I go back and I 2 times and I look for interesting moments and I skip around like crazy because I don't have
Why
time for
didn't you
that
just
shit
watch
either.
watch the VODs of the team?
Of a
You know
team
what
because
Flicky was
then I'm
actually
watching
doing?
one specific team and it doesn't
Yeah,
give me an
that's-
overview. I need an overview.
Something interesting Floki was doing when Clement was breaking. There's a guy holding the wall with wall aiming him, right on Logan. When he was ARing the wall, Floki did a ping shot with his shotgun to kill him. He was like 100 HP. It's quite a good strat. Most people don't do that. I think they do.
Where did you? Why did you just say that? Like, it's good information, but why did you just say that?
Because I watched the whole 3 hour. I didn't watch the tournament, but I watched the whole hour of odds. And Floki falling off and dying to full damage, as well I showed earlier, and him ping shotting the wall. That was the only thing that was interesting to me. Everything else was the same mundane, boring stuff that I've already know.
Fucking
And I've just been doing it too long.
is
I'm turning it to
infiltrated us.
Hypex.
Is in.
I just start tweeting out in the
infiltrated
shops.
us. All right, let's talk on East. Let's talk on East. Now that we've convinced the entire FNTASIA audience that competitive Fortnite is boring. Thank you guys for that. Really good.
Thank you very much, Carla and DJ, for convincing them.
Cash
It's
Cup
actually
Extra
not
in
bad.
NA East.
Uninteresting.
Saf, Kanata, and Stretch won. I'm ignoring. And they, you know, I think this is pretty cool. They're going to be playing together, and they just like during the entire thing, during the entire fiasco, they just come out and win a tournament. They're like, yep, this should be the real trio, not Avery. This isn't something that Saf, Stretch are usually doing, you know? They're not winning cash cups because they don't treat them to a certain level, but Kanata does. So I think Stretch has won cash cups in the past. Like, don't get me wrong, and Saf has as well, but it's just not a consistent thing for them. So to see them coming out swinging at the beginning of the season, I had doubts about Kanata on this team. I really did. I didn't think that he fit with them, but apparently Saf and Kanata are just amazing together.
Yeah, and they had a point to prove. Like you said, like with all the drama going on, it's like, let's just go and win the event. Like, what are people going to say then? No, I it's sad because as much as like I talk about like me, like, I would do what Avery did. At the same time, it's like, I want to see this trio more now. Do you know what I mean? It does make you want to see more of this trio.
They resolved it. So.
Yeah, but then they resolve it as in like, oh no, because Avery's actually, Avery's playing bigger. So
Avery's
yeah,
back
okay, yeah. So we will, sorry, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The alpha.
We will see that, yeah. So we will see this trio more, and I think that's exciting because I don't feel like I've gotten that sort of like Saf stretch domination that like I felt like I always would get with Zayt in the picture.
Yep.
But now it feels like we could be returning to that.
Yeah, like Zayt didn't care enough, you know.
By the end, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably. I mean, after spending an entire season at Doom's Domain, I think anybody would lose their mind, right? So, yeah, I'm excited to see them go forward, and I hope that they can keep the same level of like caring about it. Some other surprising results to me is the Frenchies, of course. Like, bruh, they didn't do very well. They didn't do well in the EU at all. Like they had the same fucking thing that we've been talking about forever, Levin, where they just go on high ground and they just lose. And it's even worse this season with launch pads. Like it feels like every time the high ground team's just getting griefed with launch pads.
Yeah.
Like every time, unless you're taking it in, unless you are that launch padding team, or you're like, who was it in EU? Tripper and Hottie and Elocrats. Fucking Hen Janice and Chapix are fighting up top. They're like launch padding on each other. They're defending, and then like they both fall to their deaths. And Tripper and Hottie and Elocrats are just like, hello.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there was a couple games as well where it's like it looked like season 5 reboot round, where it's just like 7 different teams just take high. Yeah, it looked silly. I can't remember who it was, but there was a team that said like, you know, they have a strat for like stopping padders completely. And I do want to see. I'm sure DJ.
I've actually, I've. Little plug, but I've got all the strats for season 7.
And they're coming out in the master class. Just use code DJ. Use code FNTASIA. It'll be 20% off after this episode.
Yeah. Yo, give me the trio masterclass, bro.
I will. I spent so long watching VODs. I've actually figured out exactly how to take height every single game, and or how to hold height. There's a very specific thing you've got to do, and it's completely different to before. It's very specific.
Why doesn't split tarping just work? I don't get it. Like why is it
people get isolated. Like I saw people trying to split top, and it's like the 3 people just pad on you, and like you're just screwed. Yeah. I don't know. It's bad.
It's very weird. You have to. Also, there's a new strat with where you can like mark height and then dive bomb them, which is ridiculously strong, and I've seen people doing that.
Yeah, the 34 meters or 36 meters shit, right?
Yeah. So here's where I am with DestinysJesus next squeeze. If they continue to do that, they should just revert to full mid-ground, low-ground. I think that this team is so good. I think that they're just so fucking good. And if they revert...
a team though, right? So they're going to play for...
Yeah, I don't know where they're landing this season. I didn't look where they're spawning.
I think it's Kai still.
Yeah.
Just Pepper's very strong this season still.
Peppers are still good, yeah. I mean, but I just don't think that the play is to try to fight for height for them. I just don't think that this is the type of team to do it.
Just quick, D-Roller and Duke didn't do the best in this, but they placed top 10 on every single region's Cash Cup, the actual main Cash Cup, right?
Oh, really? That's actually kind of crazy.
Apparently, yeah. Something interesting about them, it's catty teams, so it's not that interesting. Probably the only interesting thing about them was that they play, what's the word? They go, because they're control players, they play keyboard when they drop for catty, so they're better drops. If you use controller for dropping, you get like stick drift and it slows you down.
Actually, facts.
If you move at all sideways while you're diving in, like you get the stick drift, right? You just have a worse drop. So
do you consider them hybrid now? Like, are they hybrid players?
I mean, they only do it for Osborne and for tags, I believe.
I'm just sure.
Other than that.
Answered it fully seriously, like, no, they're not hybrid because they only
they technically are. I mean, they play 2 inputs during the comp game. They use it for tags as well.
Can we fucking hype up this team now? Are we done like sleeping on Pemps to carry? In fact, we need
Shine.
Who shit talks Pams though? Realistically, like he's a demon.
Shio and Timmy were fucking shit talking them last time, like hardcore shit talking Pamps, dude.
Why?
Isn't Shio like the biggest
Shio
fan
loves
of
these guys, but I was asking them basically, are we done? Because after Pamps' win, I was basically like, hey, like, do we have an answer to the question of like how the fuck were these guys doing so well last season, and do we expect them to be contenders?
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, fuck that, like nah, and Timmy went in on them, of course, but after this.
Timmy's
After
there,
this, they got a top 3 in last week or last quals and everything. Like this should be them doing well again, right? This should be.
yeah.
Yeah. How did I was going to have a
Thompson.
sense of the Jin commandment do? They're in 8th.
Yeah, 8th. This is good for them.
But wasn't that always somewhat of the point, right? With that segment where it was like, you know, they can do well in this when they don't have to worry about like a team like Center Division Commandment, but like in a set finals lobby when they're against these guys, is that going to stay the same? So
Yeah.
these questions are still unanswered.
Yes.
But the questions you guys were asking, or at least the questions Shai and Timmy were asking last set, are still unanswered even after this result.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about like their drop spot in finals and stuff like that, and how it was dog shit. But like, I personally, honestly respect the shit that they did more, and they placed pretty well with it, which is actually kind of crazy. Yeah, Commandment sent into Edgy to me. Placing 8th in a Cash Cup-ish format to me is great. Like, sure they could place.
It's not that great.
They could place top. Nah, it's great for them.
Is it?
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what they want to do better in cash caps. 8th.
I don't think that this is like any like this is good. This is good. I don't think that they're a Cash Cup team. I don't think that they've ever been a Cash Cup team, and they're just a Grants team. They have been having a. Go ahead.
Just can I say probably the worst name I've ever seen in Fortnite comp, apart from maybe that Baby Jacob name, which wasn't very good at all, is Baby Nuts Iomzo. How? Whose idea was that?
Where is this? Oh my god.
Baby Nuts Iomzo.
I've seen one.
That is Iomzo is cracked, by the way. I'm glad that Booga picked him up temporarily and like announced him, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, Iomzo finally getting there." But he goes back and he's playing with Chucky and them again.
Is he
Chucky
actually that good though? Like actually like at the game? I know he's got good mechanics and he's like 10 years old, but he didn't call for All Stars, right?
He's
NA East. Yeah, he didn't get top 10.
I don't know. I don't know about that situation.
We'll see. We'll see if it's just trims on it.
Ooh, I didn't see this name. Let's talk about Benji's team for a second, because a lot of people are talking shit. I know it's not the team. It's Benji, Shadow, and Joe, right?
Yeah.
Is there? Okay, no, we don't want to talk about that.
Tomsy getting the call up.
Did you see Tom? Did you see Tomsy? It wasn't his mum. His brother came into his room and he was just shouting, "Shut up! Shut up!"
I didn't see that. No, look, shout out Benji. Shout out Benji. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's weird because when I saw that he was playing with them, like the big thing that I thought was like, if you look at it in terms of like when I say this, I'm not talking about the actual power rankings we have, but like in terms of like a power ranking sense, like Shadow and Joe are ahead of him, like they are above him, right? I'm not talking about actual PR points that we have in Fortnite. Like I'm just saying like the general sort of terms of like, you know, who's where. And so like, you know, if anything, like he was very fortunate to get 2 players, I think, as good as them, right? It was like in that regard. And I think he's shown, like, from like speaking to him and like seeing the way that like they've approached, like he's shown like he's shown a willingness to like, he's not worried about that. Like, you know, the big question people have with like Mitra and even Mongo is like, will they like, you know, listen to those kind of people? Will they like acknowledge the fact that, look, these guys are probably a bit better than me, like I need to just do whatever they say? Whereas it feels like Benji really is good at that, where it's just like, yeah, these guys have been doing better than me recently. Like whatever they say, like I'm gonna go with that. And obviously, it's not like he's just quiet. Like he inputs. Like I've heard the comms. Like he's inputting. He's like still making decisions. Yeah, like he's still making decisions and all that. But it's like there's a mutual understanding amongst all of them in a way that like I think works really well.
Mm-hmm. They do need to get better though. The one thing I think I'm gonna hit the VOD to them is they have like no game plan. They have no like roles of what they're doing. So they sort of just run around. You know?
That's
been like the problem with Benji though. Like for the past 3 seasons, it feels like every time we're critiquing any team, Benji's on this like they don't have a game plan.
That's because he's been fighting off spawn for so long. Like every single season, he's just fucking fighting off spawn, and then he never gets to a point where he has to make a game plan.
Shadow's not like a tier 1 IGL, like he's not like a strict IGL. Like he sort of just says what he wants to do, you know? And that's why they need a proper game plan of what they're going to do and how they're going to execute it. And then if they as long as they do it, it's not like completely brain dead, yeah. They should do better, but still the potential there for sure.
All right, let's.
The problem is I think Benji might need, because you don't need a very opinionated, forceful IGL to have a game plan, but like you said, like I do have doubts over whether Shadow can do that role well enough for them to have any
Yeah,
success.
they don't need like a strict IGL, you know.
Yeah, but
It's
they
not
just need
like
someone to have
with
that
a
set
reverse
plan.
and day where
Yeah,
they need like a completely strict IGL to do call everything, you know. They
yeah.
just sort of need a game plan. They know what their roles are, and they can fill that, and then they'll play better. So hopefully.
Cool. All right, let's do real quick. We don't have to input too much on this, but I did want to show like the third-party results and just kind of briefly go over them for the week. This was an NA East. Acorn Jack and Slacks ended up winning a tournament, which is pretty cool because we haven't really seen them since their FNCS win. Like they had one Cash Cup extra that they placed like top 5, and then other than that, they weren't really placing well. And then Grand Finals came and they didn't do well as well. This is the I forgot already. Hold on. This
People
is
actually
the
watch this. Like,
Gamer
this is just like
Sensei.
a random.
It was for
It's just like a
$10,000.
random tournament.
Yes, it is. It is just a random tournament. I don't really know where it was streamed. I'm pretty sure it was a practice server production or something like that. But Scented Commandment Edgy second again, no surprise. And then Kanata was playing with Miro and Stretch again, just like completely random. But okay. Next tournament. Give me a sec. We transition. This was the POC Esports or the POC Trio Cup in EU, where Hen, Janice, and Chapix won once again with 117 points over QG and his team, which I haven't seen much of at all. And then Seti, Cami, and Teak again with another performance.
Spanish team? Spanish tournament, right?
Spanish team. And yeah, I think it's a Spanish tournament.
There's like a load of random Spanish people invited, right?
Yeah. Yep. Snazy and Alex Xweez again, like they consistently are doing very well in tournaments specifically like this. So moving on. And then
Cami and T could have forgotten team, man.
What is this leaderboard? What am I looking at?
The TNA Trio Cup.
Second place Kings. What can you say?
Yeah, insane. They won the tournament actually.
That's
their
won
first tournament
night's
they've won
Fusion,
since like
Fusion Cup.
Since Duo, when they first moved, they won one of the Duo weeks. It's the very first tournament they've won. I'm pretty sure I checked the PR page.
Yep. They're just no, they won like one of the random third party. See, I don't even think like these contribute to like the second place curse or whatever. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this tournament. Like
it's funny they get like 4 second places.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny, but I think it's just coincidence. I don't consider them like the curse is broken because they won a Fusion Cup for $5,000, you know? But anyways, yeah, okay, cool. That's the third party roundup. If you guys are unfamiliar with what's going on, we've had a lot of them, which is pretty hype. Okay, last topic. I think one that's going to be pretty fiery. Is talking about the comp subreddit. There was a post yesterday by Connor Rio. You guys might know him as like the Prattcord admin and whatnot. He tweeted last night, one of the goats, that he wished the Fortnite comp Reddit was run how Valorant CSGO subreddits are. He wants to go to the sub to see news and tournament results and stuff like that. And he doesn't feel like the comp subreddit is that. That spawned a post that has like so much debate. People are shitting on everybody everywhere. Everybody's mostly agreeing, but most of the time, like a lot of people are getting down. I don't know. It's just weird. What do you guys think of the state of the competitive subreddit? DJ, you have experience.
I've got some experience.
The shooters are looking for DJ out there.
No, it's just not going there, honestly. I think I was going on the like occasionally and sort of seeing. I remember it used to be so good. Do you remember how good it used to be, Bala, back in the day?
It was never
like
good.
Actually so good, and all the pro not all the pros, but like a lot of pros went there and like found strats. Do you remember the speedy reset? Don't know why you didn't trademark that one. There were so many good things, and there was like funny videos. You know, what's it called? There was so many good like entertaining videos, like back during mech stuff time, right?
Oh yeah, because you posted
do you remember my plane video, right? How to do realistic plane 1v1s. I used to tweet that at some point.
That was fucking. That was god tier content.
It used to be so good.
It felt like more of a community back then. Like where it was like Speedy was involved, DJ was involved. Right now, it doesn't feel like a community. It doesn't feel like anybody part of the the subreddit is also like actually involved heavily in the competitive space. But in my mind, it's always been it's always been bad. It's never been what I want personally, which is what Connor is asking for, which is like, tournament results and like interviews and like discussions about meta, discussions about stats, discussions about teams. The only comp related thing to the pro scene that gets posted here and actually like does well is drama. Drama, educational videos. they historically did very well. Like DJ, that's how both of us got our starts there.
And resub as well.
And resub as well. But since then, it's kind of fallen off, and like even resub is not really getting that much attention for his educational stuff. But that has historically been a thing. There's not live threads do terrible, interviews do terrible, stats do terrible, everything does terrible in terms of like the stuff that I want to see on the subreddit. So in my mind, it's never been what I want, which is a pro discussion subreddit.
Do you think people are going to go on the Fortnite comp subreddit and watch like a 5-minute interview of like Tayson? Like,
that's what it's supposed to be. You're saying
it's supposed to be, but who's going to go on there and say, "Oh, that point that Tayson brought up at like 2 minutes in, really good."
This is the problem.
You're say that, man.
No, but this is the problem, bro. This is the problem. You're saying this like this doesn't exist, or like this isn't possible. Like this is literally what most comp subreddits are. Is that kind of shit, that kind of content. Like, but this is the whole point. Like this is the whole point. Like, and even I don't even like that one because I don't think that, like, yes, you can apply the whole age thing to Fortnite, but I don't think that is a big deal with Reddit specifically. If you're just looking, obviously we don't know the stats of how old people are on Reddit, but I don't get that impression. Like when I read the shit from Reddit, even when I read the shit where I think you are a drone, like I'm reading it thinking, yeah, this guy's pretty like a good old age. Like he's probably like, you know, he's probably the same. He's probably older than me, and he's saying this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't think age is even a problem. I genuinely just like. I don't know why it's like this, but it's never been like this. It's never ever been like that.
Of the average IQ of somebody in the Fortnite community, right? not trying to be rude or anything. If you think of the average IQ of someone like on Twitter or on Fortnite Comp, right, or in Twitch chat, right, and you think that's the average. So half of the people are below that average. That half is all on Fortnite Comp at the same time.
That's not actually how averages work, but okay.
It's sort of how it works, right? How's that not how it works? Tell me how's that how it works.
You're talking about median. That's what you're talking about. You're looking for the midpoint.
Let's say the middle average of how stupid people are, right? Half of them below that are more stupid or stupider, and they're on that subreddit at the same time, commenting, giving their expert opinions, accusing people of teaming. They're all compromised and put in that space.
Oh, you just give me a cramp, bro.
Hell, man. Look,
the 30-year-old body.
Honestly, the subreddit, like, it's funny because, you know, obviously, you know, I think this was always going to be lined up as a topic, but like I was literally saying right before we started recording, like, I want to go on Reddit and just see what's going on. Like, Reddit should be a competitive Fortnite hub. You should be genuinely, you should be able to completely follow the competitive Fortnite scene just through Reddit. Right now, you can't. Like, that is not a thing, right? And like, you go on Reddit and all you see is like just 7 threads about like somebody going, "Hey guys, I'm not too good. I've been playing the game for a couple of years. Do you guys think I should change my binds or something?" Like, come on, man. Like, why is this still the stuff that's being talked about? And like, and it's annoying because those are the threads that get the attention. That's why they're so high up there, because like you get a bunch of people who are all eager and enthusiastic to like help and comment and give their advice and their expertise. It's like, why are we not talking about the actual competitive scene? Like, we have a massive competitive scene.
People don't care because game's boring. There you go.
But that is okay. So you know, even though you're DestinysJesus in right there, you're right. People don't care. That is true though. Like the reason why we don't get this is because these people don't care. And like, Barlow, when we're talking about trying to like build stories and like, you know, you have people who auto-call because you want to build stories, you want to build narratives. Like, Reddit is supposed to be the heartbeat of that shit for the most part, and it just like isn't. Like, they don't care about that shit clearly. Like, and it's the reason why they don't care about a lot of shit. Like, I could go on a big rant about a bunch of shit that Reddit should care about in Fortnite, but historically never has, and just makes the scene horrid, like absolutely horrid. But like, that doesn't happen.
That's one of the things though. You're saying a lot of like, this is where it should, this is should like that. That's what we expect from the competitive subreddit and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, the community is going to decide what should, like, that's what Reddit is good at, right? The community is going to decide what should be on that subreddit. And for the most part, hey, they're choosing the stuff that you don't like, right? So DJ has a point when he says, "Oh, they don't care." And I mean, there's a bunch of factors that go into it, but like in my mind, I've always had the opinion, right? Like, if you want it to be changed, you need to be the person who's actually like pushing and like actually posting live threads, actually posting discussion threads, and like commenting on the stuff that you want to be, you know, engaging with and whatnot. But at a certain point, bro, I'm not going, like, I'm not there anymore. I'm not commenting constantly. Not that I ever was, but in general, like, those
Yeah,
people
what's
are,
on the door quick?
yeah, that's fine. A couple people like get scared away from that, you know?
Stay for a sec.
Let me make sure that we're chilling. Can I mute
This guy
him?
just mashing up the whole production, bro.
Can I mute him? All right, he's muted. Cool.
Oh, God.
That's kind of like everybody. It's not even just Reddit, by the way. Let's be clear here. It's not even Reddit.
Yeah.
It's literally not even Reddit. It's the competitive community in general. Like,
Yep,
the
that's
content,
true.
if you
Very
post
true.
on Twitter, unless you're like really known for that type of stuff, like Kinch is, then it's not really popping off, you know? And that's
Yep.
fine. That's fine. If that's not what the community wants, then that's fine. However, I do think that people need to be trying to push for that specific type of content. And if because it's not doing well, you don't want to post it, that's wrong in my mind. I feel like we have a huge amount of content creators, of aspiring casters and whatnot, aspiring anything, right? Who look at the popular thing and are trying to do that. This is kind of the same thing that happened with viewing parties, right? Everybody's like, oh, I want to be a caster. And then they see, you know, Ozzy doing a viewing party. They see Clay doing a viewing party, Stable Ronaldo, a viewing party everywhere. And then the casters, instead of the aspiring casters, instead of actually like casting, they go to do viewing parties.
Yeah.
And so it's similar stuff to that. You just go for what's popular. It's educational stuff. It's other stuff that like nobody gives a crap about, or that people care about, because that's what has been popular on the subreddit in the past. And they don't do the interview content. They don't do this. They don't make that content better.
But that's just like, I hate when because I feel like I end up saying this like once every episode, but like that's just like a human thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, people will do the shit like they see, because it's like, you know, people will be like, oh yeah, I want to be a rapper, I want to be a basketballer, because it's like they're seeing the way that person got that lifestyle. But it's like, even with the casting thing, you said, yeah, like people will see that, right? And see Ozzy Antics doing viewing parties and he becomes a cast, he's casting A or whatever. But they don't see Shayo sending in demo to, like, where was Shayo's one of the most established casters? He wasn't doing that, right? But like, he obviously had a path to get there. Do you know what I mean? But because it's not as visible to people, they don't realize that that's an option. And you're right, because, you know, people do just want to post the stuff that they know works, because at the end of the day, like, it's just, you know, like, people like gratification. They like feeling like appreciated. They want to get the most likes on a post. Like, oh, you post two things, one thing might be better, but because everything got more likes, you're going to do that more because you want more likes. Like, that's just the way it is. And I will put my hands up and say, yes, me earlier saying like it should be, this should, you know, that's my own arrogance, my own ego, whatever. Like, you know, that's what I want. Not, you know, that is just personally what I want and what I expect. And that might not be the best thing. But I think a lot of these people miss out on, they don't know how good it is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I've seen that. You know what I mean? The reason I say it should be like this, because I've seen that. I've seen how good it is compared to what it is that we have now. And I'm like, bloody hell, the fact that you guys still show up to do all this shit, like, you still show up to help the guy that wants to improve and shit, like, bloody, if you had this, like, you'd be living it up, you'd be enjoying, and so it almost comes from a place of like, bloody hell, you guys don't know what you're missing out on. Like, you're wasting your time doing this. Whereas if you're all just doing this, you'd be having a much better time. Do you know what I mean?
It comes from the fact that the competitive scene is rooted in a personal involvement in playing competitive and in following the content creators / pro players / streamers that you are personally involved with and watching their streams. Not because I want to follow the competitive Fortnite scene. You know? There are much fewer of those than there are of the I follow it tangentially because I want to play in it, or I follow it tangentially because I know that Mongrel plays in it.
Yeah.
You know, and that has been a fundamental way of how the competitive Fortnite scene has been built. So we honestly should expect it to be like this because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That is the one thing that I feel like I've always suggested, as, you know, some of these things almost can't even be changed, because the culture of the game, like, if it's been built up on these principles, do you know what I mean? Whereas like the things I'm comparing it to, it's not fair for me to compare it to, because those games may not have been built up on those same principles, right? So, you know, it's all good and well saying, oh, but that's what that is, but, you know, that started off very differently in itself. And
I mean, Connor's following Valorant right now, and you look at the Valorant competitive subreddit, and that shit is pristine. That shit is like literally the best thing. Like, oh my god, it's so good. But
is it because it's just the new game, right? Is the Valorant subreddit that good because it's new and it's not got to this point where it's just full of drama? And also Valorant's somewhat more established and it's got orgs and it's got
because it's
stuff, you know. And it's not based on streamers, kind of. It's based on top tier players.
Yes.
Valorant just, you can't really look at Valorant because it's just different, you know.
Yes.
No,
It's a
because
game, but it's a completely different game.
it's not about that to me, because I even with whether it's new or not, I think it remains like this. And I think you look at a lot of the stuff that, like, even if you look at a lot of the infrastructure Valorant has with stuff like VLR, like that stuff is like copy paste from like CS, right? You have so many people moving over from that, so like they bring these things over that are like staples. But even if you look at other games, like, and one thing I'll say, just because a game has these things doesn't mean that their Reddit can't be AIDS, right? So it doesn't mean that like Valorant's Reddit or CS's Reddit can't be AIDS. It still can be AIDS, but it's like, for the most part, the content and the structure of it, right, is like around it. Like, so like a Reddit that I know is AIDS is like League Reddit. Like, historically, like there's a lot of just BS in League Reddit, right? But like, even then, it still like has these things that allow you to like follow the game better. It has the content you're looking for. It has the conversation you're looking for. The actual conversation itself might be a bit, but it has that conversation. Whereas, you know, in FN, we just don't have any of it.
You're not, the community's not conditioned to like accept that type of content or read that type of content or whatever, even though that it might be good.
Or read.
Yeah, or read. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it too. It's like we're in the clickbait era, and I think age actually does have something to do with it, but it's not like us.
Most of the people on there can actually read, to be honest. I'm gonna stop. I'm just giving up on it at this point. You guys are very hopeful. I'm
not hopeful either. I've given up too. I've tried to have this conversation.
You go on there and comment. I saw you commenting. Like,
of course I comment, but that's because I still use it as a tool, right? I'm not thinking that, I'm gonna change the fucking competitor subreddit. Like, no, it's not gonna. And by the way, it doesn't have anything to do with the admins or anything like that at all in my mind. Because not only have we had switches in admins and leadership on that subreddit multiple times, but it's also just like, bro, like the admins can tell. The admins see, bro. Like, the shit that you guys want, that Connor, Bala, everybody is asking for, like, number one, it just doesn't do well on this subreddit. So like, why the hell would we try to like moderate so that stuff does well? We'd kill the subreddit, like, straight up. That's what, like, what we're asking for, which I'm not necessarily a proponent of, but what Connor's asking for and what Levin you might also want is literally for us to steal a subreddit community from somewhere else, from a different community, you know? And that's just fucked up. That's just fucked up. So I think it does come down to the culture of the community, to the culture of the game, the way that it's built up, the influencer style around it, all that different stuff.
The only hope we have is chapter 3. Chapter 3, just like, just reset. We're doing a revamp, completely reset. And like, this is a new game. It's Fortnite 3, chapter 3. Like, that's the only hope.
I don't think that Epic is interested in what we're interested in, and interested in supporting that either. I think they did a very good job with their plan, and I just don't think that is something that they're interested in building. Like, maybe, who knows? Maybe they're interested in supporting a new, a fortnitehLTV.org type thing, but
imagine, oh my god, I would just be on that.
I'm just saying, hey, there's money there. There's money there. I've already told you guys, you can't even come back and come out like Fortnite Tracker. The Fortnite Tracker is literally just a
Fortnite Tracker. They've got those articles and stuff no one reads. Why don't they do like player profiles of the week or something? That would be kind of interesting. They could definitely add some more stuff on there.
There's so much stuff.
And that's a lot of people on Fortnite Tracker. Like, they definitely could get some interest there.
Do you know what's so funny to me, Barla? It's like the equivalent of like Fortnite Tracker in like games like CS and Val is like so irrelevant. Like,
it's so dead.
It's so dead. Like, I remember like I'd like go on those random CS sites and like check, what's my headshot percentage in all my CS matches I've ever played? And it's like, you check it once, you will never go on it again. But it's like, that Tracker has become like the hub, and it's like,
well, that speaks to the community thing. That speaks to how the game is evolved, and where everybody cares more about their personal involvement. Again, like, I have to stress that is literally how the scene is built, and it's not built from the top down, whereas other games are. It's not. It doesn't. Nobody cares about the top down. They care about the bottom up.
You're going taking me back to geography GCSE, man. Top-down development, bottom-up development. Like,
Geography, that's
I mean, think about this, right? Whenever Connor actually gets involved in Reddit, and it's always about the prac server, everybody's pissed off at the prac server, the gatekeeping, whatever. You know, that is literally every single time. Blueprint, that shit happens. Zayt has a tweet. Oh, Zayt's such a dictator. He's literally griefing scrims specifically to keep himself at the top. It's like everybody's just trying to claw down and get in the gate, like, you know. And in a different situation, that would not happen at all. If we had what we're talking about, no, everybody'd be like, yeah, this is fine. Like, this is what the pro scene has to be. Like, that's literally fine. But on the other side, it's not. The same thing happens whenever there's a griefing conversation brought up on Reddit. Nobody understands that, like, there's this thing such as malicious griefing. Everybody on the subreddit's always like, that's not griefing. He's just landing at a new spot and getting points, and he just killed the other guy. You can't claim a spot. It's because they're all coming from this point of view of personal involvement.
It's just an echo chamber of, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean? Every single person.
Please don't say it. Don't say it.
No, it is just an echo chamber. Like, somebody would have an opinion, and it would get the top comment, right? And like 3 other people would agree. And now everyone who goes to that, they don't have an opinion. Maybe they're neutral on a topic. Maybe they're not sure if it's griefing or something. You know, they'd read that one top comment, and then they just form an opinion based on that one top comment. Say, "Oh, I agree with that. It's got the most upvotes." I think upvotes are a danger to society, honestly.
I actually know this is like, I don't want to get into like a deeper Reddit conversation, but like I do think
it's social
Reddit
media in
as
general,
a whole
man.
is like, like obviously social media as a whole, but like Reddit in particular, like the whole upvote downvote system, I think it's really bad. Like,
so bad.
But like
it's not just an opinion. It's like, oh, I've got the most clicks up. Why doesn't everyone listen to me? I've got 120,000 comment karma or something. I've got 60,000 comment karma. That's probably more than half the sub put together. Everyone should just listen to what I say. There you go.
All right, perfect.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead, make a post. Change the subreddit. We're chilling. By the way, another thing is, in general, like you might think of the Valorant comp subreddit as like a god tier place. You know, it's like the best place ever. 11. You're looking at it, you're like, oh my god, there's so many interviews, so much interesting shit. But when you actually like talk to the pros and shit, everybody hates it.
that's what I said. Like, me saying that like these things are good, it doesn't mean that they don't have their own aids, but it's like the general structure of those like subreddits themselves. It's just better, bro. Like, it's just better to me. Mm-hmm. But like, you still will get the aids. Like, don't get me wrong, I've gone on fucking Valorant Reddit and been like, what is this waffler talking about? Like, you know, you even like with the live threads, like you read the live threads, you're like, you're watching the game and you think that. What are you watching? You're not watching the same thing I'm watching. Like, you'll get
people.
Huh? What?
It's a bit of against free speech. Where somebody just has a really stupid opinion, just ban them to help everybody else. That'd be
good. Cool. All right. Well, we got our opinions out. We got our opinions out on that. I don't know if people will care about it. Either way, I think that's it for the episode. Thank you, DJ, for coming on, bro. It's been a blast. That was episode. I hope it's episode 23. And if I'm wrong, you guys can comment what the actual episode is and how far you want us to go. Either way, make sure to like, subscribe, do all the things. Also, if you're watching on Spot or listening on Spotify or something else, also come over to the YouTube video and comment. Help us grow. That's it.
Wait, it's 24.
It's 24? Shut the hell up.
It's episode 24. It's actually episode 24. Yeah.
All right, bet. That was episode 24, Poggers. Let's go. And as always, brush your teeth in the morning. Otherwise...